acting
And
like
now we're unmuted.
Fantastic. So, hi everybody. This is our first run at the stream, and this is actually really good so far. Everything's running smoothly. Noah sounds as Noah should.
We're batting 1,000.
I sound beautifully, is what you mean. So yeah.
Yeah, and Andy has finished his tube-shaped food, so that's pretty good. Dark Thunderson now needs to be banned from the stream, and I think after that everything will be golden.
Yeah, let's go ahead and just.
He got into the Discord. Better kick and ban.
I'm trying to figure out how to kick him, and all I see is promote to mod. I just
don't do that.
Maybe it means something different on Twitch. Go for it.
I've only deleted my own posts.
Kick and ban, is that like the mantra of like very aggressive admins on Twitch?
That's the
even less aggressive admins.
Yeah, that's the mantra of basically anyone.
Yeah,
that's just the mantra. Kick and ban.
Yeah, so it's a kick and a ban is generally what happens to the people who found out after they tried to fuck around.
Because it sounds like rip and tear. So it's like if you're
kick
going
and ban until the work is done.
Yes.
All right. Well, for last session recap, we had we had everybody go into the room after sort of being healed by Sharut. They went into the room that had Para Belkin laying on a table, and as they moved over to her, they realized that Para Belkin had apparently been either killed or turned into a vampire. It was one of the two. And then her eyes opened, and they were like, probably turned into a vampire. That one sounds like the right answer.
That one tracks.
And around that time, Nimith, the duelist, and Marshall, the alchemist, sort of stood up from where they were and decided that they didn't like being killed about an hour back, and they were going to kill you right back in retribution for killing them. And so they started a fight, which went okay for Marshall and then pretty questionably for Nimith. I believe Nimith disarmed Dandarin of his shield and then didn't do anything else for the rest of the fight. And I believe Marshall blew up some people and then was being shouted at for being not loyal to the nation of Seer. And they were being rebuked for things being unholy and all kinds of stuff like that. So eventually those two were taken care of, and the group has decided that they are going to they're going to kill them, because that's what happens to a vampire when you put a stake in its heart. But they're not going to end it permanently. They're not going to hold them under the water. They're not going to behead them and pour the holy water on the stump. They're going to take them up top and let the Prince's Justice figure out what he's going to do with them. And potentially to let the Prince's Justice figure out what he's going to do with Para Belkin as well, since Quintus and I believe Lumio, in questioning Para, realized that she is under similar but different compulsions from the other ones. The other ones are under compulsions that they can't do certain things. Same with her, to the point where she can't even acknowledge the existence of the other two. She's just not really able to do that. And so I believe where we left off was everybody is sort of packing up, getting ready, and Dandarin told me after the end of the game last time that he wanted to sort of look at the bodies and see what they had. So what you see on Marshall is things that sort of with your skill, things that come across to you. Actually, not even with your skill. Quintus can just detect magic. So with Quintus's skill at detecting magic, he tells you that her diadem that she's wearing, her vest that she's wearing, those are both magical. You know that Nimith's blade is magical, and Quintus also identifies Nimith's chainmail and cape as magical as well.
A cape, you say?
A cape, I say.
Dandarin, did you say something about a cape being particular?
Says Lumio the Capeless, who wants to, who really just wants to lose that epithet from his name.
But I really like it in his name.
Me.
So no, it's just a piece of cloth.
I am Lumio Capeborn.
I was of cape before. I have no cape now.
I will be of cape again.
Cape free. Yes.
Cape free? Capeless?
Cape free, son.
So,
Nice.
Dandarin, do you want to give me a... first, you can give me an appraise check with a... you've actually seen this one work, so an appraise check with a +10.
Okay.
You've seen it work. This will give you like the particulars of how it works. So the diadem of moonlight. This is the circlet that Nimith handed to Sharut when you and Sharut were sitting outside the door. It has 5 moons on it. The moons is like it's full in the middle, and then there's like a waxing and waning gibbous on either side of that, and then there's a waxing and waning crescent on either side of those. So it sort of looks like the moon going through its phases. All of those moons on the front of the diadem are all mirrored. And basically, if you're wearing the diadem, you can link any mirror you can touch to one of the mirrors. Doing so takes a minute of touching the mirror and concentration. Once you link a mirror to the diadem, you can remove the diadem from your brow to stare through it and out of the mirror. This effect doesn't function if the linked mirror is more than a mile from the diadem. The diadem has to be worn for a full 24 hours in order to build up resonance. If you haven't built the resonance inside the item, you can still use the diadem to view through the mirror, but after a minute has passed, or after you're done viewing, if you view for less than a minute, the mirror will shatter. If you do have resonance, you can view through it and it'll just spin the resonance, and then you have to wear it for another 24 hours before you can look through a different one. In addition, the user can instead view through any moon whose phase matches one of the phases on the diadem. So like if there's a full moon out, you can look through basically through the moon and see down, and you'll be able to see anything that's touching the moonlight within a mile of you. But after sustained viewing of that, the mirror on the diadem itself will shatter. So you can only do that 5 times. If all 5 of them are shattered, then the diadem's rendered inert. At the moment, none of the mirrors on the diadem themselves are shattered. So it looks like nobody has ever actually used it to look through a moon. And then give me 1 for Nimith's blade. You have some experience with this too because it disarms you, so I'll give it to you at a +2.
Righty.
So Nimith's blade is a cold iron saber +1, and it possesses the ability to temporarily steal the enhancement bonus of any item it disarms for a number of rounds equal to the disarmed item's enhancement bonus. So when you disarm an enemy, say that enemy has like a +4 weapon, the saber will become a +4 weapon for 4 rounds.
Neat.
And give me another one for Martial's vest. That'll work for that. Martial's vest is a bombardier's vest. This is a +1 leather armor, and it gives you +2 to hit with bombs or bomb-like items, so like vials of acid, that sort of. And 1 for Nimith's chainmail. Yes, Nimith has a it's not chainmail, it's a chain shirt. He has a +2 chain shirt. And then lastly, 1 for Nimith's cape. So Nimith's cape is a rather dashing looking cloak of free will +2. So this works like a cloak of resistance. So it's a cloak of resistance +2, but the bonus to will saves is 1 higher. So it's +2 to fortitude and reflex, then +3 to will. Additionally, if you wrap it around your hand, it can be used like a buckler. It's a duelist cape.
Nice.
It doesn't give the buckler any sort of enhancement bonus. It can just be used like a buckler. If you want to give the buckler an enhancement bonus, that would be a separate like sort of enchantment.
You do the thing for adding multiple enchantments.
Yeah.
As normal.
And I will hold on. I'll put you all back in the laboratory. In addition, there are some vials that are in various pockets on Martial's body that are now very easy to get to as soon as she is staked. So 7 of them, Sharut, you would be able to very quickly identify as being vials of acid. So there's 7 vials of acid. The other 2, I will either need appraise rolls or craft alchemy rolls.
Craft alchemy.
Craft alchemy, I say.
I will allow Sharut to do this by himself.
It looks like she has 2 potions that are potions of shield at 3rd level. It should be noted that they're potions of shield at 3rd level. That means they last for 3 minutes. Normally shield only lasts for 1.
Sure, we'll share this information, of course, and I think Lumio would probably be best to have those.
Wouldn't say no to him.
Yeah. And then give me another one. She has 2 other matching potions. So she has 2 matching potions, which are marked as healing potions. And you realize that due to the sort of like black-gray swirls within them, is that they are healing potions for undead. So these are 2 potions of inflict moderate wounds.
Yeah. I think I am going to take those.
That kind of makes sense.
And you said there was 6 doses of acid?
7 doses of acid.
7 doses of acid. Okay, I'm gonna add that to my. I'm just gonna add those to my sheet because I feel like I'm the only one that has the use for that.
Yeah. So magic wise, that's pretty much what they got. Is, you know, they got they each have armor. She had her diadem, he had his sword, which Standard has already like bent into a pretzel. And then he had his
I can fix it, don't worry.
he had his cape. And she had her potions. So she just didn't get a chance to actually use the healing potions due to, you know, everybody being real mean to her all at the same time.
And those were potions of
They are
sorry.
so she had 3 potions of shield and 2 potions of inflict moderate wounds. The inflict moderate wounds will be at 3rd level, so they will deal 2d8 plus 3,
Okay,
or
inflict
heal
moderate
for 2d8
wounds.
plus 3 damage. If any of you would like to be a zombie, please let me know.
Okay.
Sharut volunteers as tribute.
Okay, cool. I have that noted. Thank you.
Okay. And let's see. With that, that is pretty much the majority of what you guys have found in here. They are, you know, like I said, they're paralyzed. You have staked them both. Para's not paralyzed, but I believe she only has a single hand free at the moment. Unless you guys are freeing her the rest of the way, but she's not like shackled or manacled or anything. If you let her off the table, she's up and walking around.
I believe he'd already
We
kind
sated.
of, yeah.
We sated her hunger, so I think she's good to
Okay.
We're just
be
gonna
like that.
use the tops to wrap up these bodies. I'll carry them out, and we're gonna have to find a way. Who's gonna carry Para so she can not to die in the river?
And like as you're saying this, Para's just kind of like inspecting kind of what she can do, and you see her like touching the wall, and she'll concentrate for a second, and her hand will kind of stick when she pulls from it, and she goes, I think I'll be okay. It'll take some
Right,
getting
well,
used to, but I should just be able to walk out, provided I don't step in the water.
All right, fair enough. Well, I've got these 2, and once everything's all packed up, Dandrin's gonna hoist and just
Okay.
do the very resolute dwarf thing of just walking at the same speed because dwarf.
Yeah,
Sharut will do the same thing, but with a giant barrel of alchemical reagent.
I mean, that makes sense. I'm not going to make you fight down at the bottom, because that would be mean. I mean, I should, but I'm not going to.
We're all so weak.
I mean, you killed everything on the way in. If you would have like run from the slug on the way in, then yeah. But we will go back to here. And where is everybody? I'll bring you all here, and so we can move everyone together. Everybody will be.
I'm over here for some reason.
Yeah, I know. It's because you 2 are the only ones that stayed, and everybody else had to climb back up before.
Okay.
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll have, it's the point where all of you, having been through this harrowing impromptu adventure where you thought you were just going to rescue somebody and start driving away, now have to climb up the well.
Thank God it's knotted.
So it is knotted. It is for those who ain't strong and will have to do it. You have to make 3 DC 8 checks before you get to the point where the DC is back to 5, because it's sort of like hanging and swinging.
Mm-hmm. That makes
Once
sense.
you get to where it's like back in the bottom of the well, and you can brace yourself against the wall, then yeah, the DC drops to 5. So I'm need to know who goes first.
So Dandrin is actually going to just volunteer to basically hoist bodies up one at a time, basically strapping them to himself and then just climbing up even with the -2 penalty for the encumbrance. I automatically succeed on that check if I'm not using my shield.
So like
We gotta go back and set that up at the rock then.
there's a difference from the like I am strong enough to carry myself and I am strong enough to carry an additional 250 pounds or 180 pounds or whatever of other person. Carrying Sharut, yeah, he's like a heavy like rucksack, but Lumio's like a person.
I was specifically talking like about the vampires that I could, truss up.
Yeah, that like yes.
I was not offering to get Lumio up.
Sorry, when
Giant
you
man
when you
made
said
of
the
metal.
bodies, it made me think that you were like, yeah, I'm just gonna carry everybody up one at a time.
I'm just going to carry all this dead weight. Come on, Lumio, you
Sharut-
first.
So yeah,
Sharut would love to be carried up the rope, and so he would also like it if you could carry up his barrel of goodies.
So yeah, you can set one of the vampires down over here, and then you can kind of like.
So is
head your
Dandrin
way up.
making 1, 2, 3, 4,
5?
Because your barrel, yeah, 5
Yep.
trips up the fucking rope.
I
Like he'll
I
do
will
it,
attempt
but
this
he's
on my own. While you were dealing with something else.
There's no way you're gonna make 5 consecutive trips up 120 feet of climbing without me going like, all right, trip number 5, you're at a -10.
yeah, right.
Like climbing sucks. Even with a knotted rope, climbing sucks.
So what Dandrin will probably do is he'll get the 2 vampires up, like that he'll do,
Yeah.
and then he'll stay at the top and just hoist people up if they need it.
I don't understand why we're not just arranging for some boards and then heaving the vampires up from above.
So like the thing that pulls up the water bucket is weighted to pull up a water bucket.
Right, but there is a rope here.
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's why I would set up a leverage system, and I would be hoisting up
That
individuals.
is not something you can do with anything resembling speed.
Of course not. That's why we get the bodies up first, and then
I build my body transportation system into the well.
and then I
everyone else
space.
gets, and then everyone else
3
climbs up,
hours.
and we wait for Lumio.
2 weeks later, the well group is going, do you think he'll be back? Papa left to get
Meanwhile,
milk,
they're
and we
just,
haven't
like,
seen
doing
him since.
backfills.
Can you just take up the bodies in the barrel then?
Yeah,
And
John
then we'll-
Eric, 3 trips, I guess. For
Sure.
Dandrin. Okay.
You said you make your first roll even on ones? Or your first trip even on ones?
Yeah. So even with yeah.
All right. Then you climb back down, which is, a little bit easier. Your body wants to go down to the bottom. Like, that's just, it's probably something in Dwarvish. You just want to go down into the hole. Can you give me
Closer
a
to the earth.
fortitude save, please, once you get to the bottom?
Sure. Against fatigue, I assume.
Yeah, it's a fatigue save. All right, yeah, you're doing good. You grab the other body and hoist yourself back up, and then you hoist yourself back down. Can you give me a fortitude save?
Yep.
You're doing fine.
I'll hoist up the barrel.
Hoist up the barrel. All right, and so you are able to pull up the barrel. Sharut, I need a climb check from you.
I'm so glad you asked.
I'm actually gonna need 3 of them. These are all DC 8.
That sounds real fun.
Made it.
Okay.
Just
Come
hit up. Just like up and enter and
Oh,
up and enter and up
That's
and
right.
enter.
That's right.
Don't fucking do this shit where you click it each time.
It won't let me because the game's paused.
Because you're trying to move yourself. Click the text box and then.
Oh, that's right. No, I think it's because I used the
He has to. Yeah, he used the skill check. He didn't use the roll 20.
Hate it.
Ah.
Sharut, take 5 damage.
I don't want.
You fall 20 feet. The water cushions it a bit.
Ah.
I need 3
Might as
climb
well
checks
just live
from you.
down here. I might as well just live down here. Freaking.
I won't have you
Frickin'
fight. Creatures.
I'll just have you fall. Ah!
The greatest obstacle. A knotted rope.
A knotted rope.
Sure.
Well, at least it's not stairs again.
Should I make a well-rounded adventure? Nah, fuck that shit.
Climbing. Who needs to do that? Do that noise.
He killed him with a climb check.
So the nice thing about rolling the 1 right at the beginning is that there's not really that far for you to fall. You just don't go anywhere.
Okay.
So climb check.
Let's do it again.
Climb
Let's do it
check.
again.
All right, 1.
All right.
Give me
all right,
2.
all right.
Give me
There's
2.
one, There's one.
I need number 2.
Okay. We're gonna get up the second one. Here we go.
Yeah,
Okay,
number
good.
2 made it. I
Okay.
need number 3.
Third one flat on the face. It's gonna be a belly flop. Here we go.
3 more damage.
He needs
The
3
root
climb
is
checks.
going to have somebody else climb up first, and he's gonna make himself some sauce.
I'll
Sure,
give
Everything's
it
gonna
a
be
go.
working from the top of the well, just checking on him.
Julian's just chuckling to himself every time someone's ah.
Which
Dillian, your turn.
Lemio said he wanted to go.
I will do what I can to soften your fall, should you fall, but
Don't do that. I have boots that help me. There's some kind of magic.
all right then. Good luck.
I'll need it.
Thank you. I will need it.
All right.
I'm so jealous for this.
Go ahead and give me 3 climb checks, DC 8. That's 1,
Holy shit. All right.
Yeah, I'm just gonna.
2,
Wow.
and 3. Okay, so
I
you
cannot believe this.
you have reached the point where now. Okay, so here's the nice thing. Now you are at a point where you only have to roll a 5 or higher to progress, and you can only fall if you roll a 1. But I need 9 checks from you.
Wow.
You're 120 feet down. I said this before. I need 9 checks.
That's very good.
He's asking me to die. I understand.
And if you roll that 1, see, so what that is, anything that's 2, 3, 4 doesn't mean you fall. It means that you don't progress. So now I need an additional check. So that's what that's going to be.
So I'm still at 9.
So you're still at 9.
8?
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just up and out.
All right. So he goes, ooh.
Don't know why you make such a
And
big
just
deal.
real fast.
You know what I realize you're doing?
Yeah.
You're burning all our good luck right at the start of the adventure.
All right. So, at this point, Fursidna will then climb up after Lumio. She can't fail. And like as Fursidna is climbing up, for those still at the bottom or those looking down from the top, you will see that like Fursidna is climbing up the well on one side, and Belkin is sort of crawling up on the other side. Not touching the rope, just kind of like lightly touching the surface. Vampires get spider climb at will. They just get it. So she's just climbing.
What does it take to give that to a robot type person?
What you would need is the spell spider climb.
That's a real thing. You're not
Or
pulling
slippers
my
of spider
leg,
climb.
making
Yeah.
shit up just to make me angry.
If
No.
Mandarin can
You
make
would
you
need-
slippers of spider.
Yeah, you could get slippers of spider climb. That's a thing. They would have to be shaped for your weird two-toed feet, but you could get them.
Oh please, Eric. Oh please, oh please, oh please.
No problem.
So
We can
the
talk
people
about
down at the bottom is Sharut and Delian.
Yeah,
And I think
mouse is
one of
currently
you-
being taken over by.
I think one of you will have a problem with doing this. So Sharut,
You can do it,
Um,
Sharut. I was
well,
able
first
to
things
do it.
first.
because I don't know
He's
if
gonna-
Sharut has realized this, but Delian is literally staying at the bottom to watch him fail.
Oh yeah, no, I get this. I understand this. Sharut's gonna grumble to himself, and he's gonna apply a salve because he can.
Okay.
And my brain is not working. That's 2d8 plus 4.
That sounds like an amount.
Okay, so heal 12, which bring me back to 34. Puts us at a decent. Okay, he's gonna shake himself loose. He's gonna try again. Here we go.
All right. DC 8. I need 3. 1,
There's one.
2. You don't progress. I need another.
Okay.
You take 2 points of
Put him down
damage.
here for a minute. He curses under his breath,
Feels so good.
and he starts to try and climb again.
What happens when Sharut just breaks his neck? Does he not ones like on the last check?
Doesn't get anywhere. I'm gonna be here for a while.
Natural 19.
Okay, there's one.
Good job.
There's 2.
I rolled a 20, so that's a natural 19.
If I roll another 20, I climb all the way up the rope. Come on, let me do
Absolutely vetoed.
it. God damn it.
Come on, give us that Wilhelm scream.
Please take 10 damage. From the top, a sort of amused but pleading voice goes, Delian, this is ridiculous. You could get him up here.
I don't know if I can. I don't really have the rope to do this.
Dandarin's gonna just call down, Sharut, you need just tie the rope around your waist. I'll just pull you.
1 second. He's going to give himself another salve. He's just like applying it over the bruises on his like stomach.
Like for real, I don't think I can actually grappling hook out of here.
And yeah, he'll do what Dandarin suggests, and he'll tie it around his waist as best as he can, and then he'll tie it in such a way to where he's not like flinging about and all the pressure's not on his waist if he can.
Sure.
And then he'll give it a double tug to motion up to Dandarin.
Did you know that in 3.0 there was a special skill called rope use for this precise kind of scenario? It was nonsense. You tie a knot. It's fine. Dandarin, strength check, please.
Alrighty.
The DC of your strength check is 8.
I will have Forsidna assist me, and I will brace.
She will attempt.
Also, I'll just a 20 by myself.
She is doing pretty well at assisting you. They are able to get you to the point, Sharut, where you can pretty easily climb. And if you do slip, you don't fall. So you're sort of doing the Adam West Batman sideways walking thing. But
How many checks do you need from me?
I don't need any checks from you. You
Okay.
can't fall because they have you.
Just wanted to make sure.
All right, Delian, you can get to the top. It takes a jury rig point.
Okay, then that's what I do.
Because you have 100, or you have 100 feet of range with your hook shot, and you can spend a jury rig point to change that to 200 feet or 250 feet.
I don't believe that you're correct, but I'll allow it.
I believe I'm correct.
Then let's go with that.
1 sec.
I have to take the talent a second time.
Yes, and you have jury rig because of your type of technician, which lets you fake talents.
Oh, fucking wicked. Yeah, see you later, Cub Scouts.
Sure,
I just
season-
wanted to make sure that I wasn't cheating the system, even if you wanted me to. And now that I know that, I'm so gonna use it more.
Yeah, like
Chirrut sees him like fly up with no problems, and he's gonna be like,
you have
Shoto to remember this.
you have like first level access to the tech sphere, but you have the ability to like mimic talents in it temporarily.
Yeah,
I think for like a
You're
minute.
completely right.
So you are all back in New Seer. Put you all back over here, and I need everybody to give me a perception check. The DC for this really high, so don't get mad at me if you roll what sounds high. It's there's a substantial penalty due to distance.
As Delian rolls, what is that? A freaking 17?
18.
I feel like somebody's not on the map. No, never mind.
Is
Everybody's on
it
the map.
Quintus?
Everybody's on the map. All right. Everybody from actually you don't really see where it comes from. You just sort of hear a shriek and a gurgle from Para Belkin. As you turn to look at her, there is a blue and purple fletched bolt just sticking out of her head. And she's standing there going, ah! And like tugging on it. She doesn't seem to die like a normal person would if you shot them in the head with it. But it seems like it hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does it hurt?
Oh, for God's sakes.
Roll the initiative?
You have this isn't really an initiative thing. You have no idea where this came from. Like literally none.
Suggest taking her back to Manor, not Orgev. Her place. Haste.
Okay.
And
So Dandarin's gonna basically use the shield to try and give Para cover from a direction.
Okay. And you guys are all going to just try to like escort her there?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll hook shot up onto the roofs.
Sure. Give me an additional perception check there, Dillian.
Sure. Consistency.
Consistency. So what you see as the group, so I'm gonna move all the tokens real quick, and so you guys came out of this well right here, right? And you start moving them this way, and Dandarin's doing what he can to give Para some cover. You know, like move this way, and he's kind of like covering her from the front. What you see is she gets shot sort of in the lower back. As they're moving, like it just kind of like zooms in right between where Lumio and Dandarin are, and it just kind of hits her like you would sort of rabbit punch someone in the kidneys. And it looks like that bolt came from over here somewhere.
Wow.
The fuck?
Let's get out of here really quick. 'Cause
Yeah, like-
if trajectory is a thing, no clue. Over yonder? Do you guys believe over yonder?
Yeah, you're
I
like
don't want to.
staring in the darkness, and you have the moonlight on your side, and you have your low light vision, and you just see this thing come from a far way off and just pinpoint hits her still.
Then yeah, I'm just regrouping, and I can't actually help her in any fashion. So
Are you out of spell
no,
points?
I can't. I'm out of shadow points. I can throw darkness.
There you go.
Yeah, so I'll do
You can try
that.
doing the thing where you like drop darkness on yourself and run behind her or something.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys become this sort of moving black blot. Thankfully, Dandarin, you're sort of in the front. You can see through it. Actually, I believe all of you can see through it except for Lumio.
But I'd like to.
Chirrut will hold Lumio's hand through the dark.
Aw.
No, I'm gonna make a light.
Doesn't that counteract the fact that there's a blot of
No.
darkness?
What's super funny, you create a light and I extinguish it.
It's 500 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
So it's not, the way this works is that it's not a magical light effect. Like it does light things up. You create a light and it blasts into the air, but it's not a magical light effect with the light descriptor. So it doesn't broadcast light within his globe of darkness.
Yeah, I'm not trying to see into his thing. I'm trying to make it harder to see darkness in general when there's a giant beam of light. Have you stepped
Right.
into a dark room from outside before,
Yeah.
or vice versa?
So you're trying to use that as like cover almost.
Yeah,
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah. I'm not trying
Sorry,
to.
I thought you were trying to like he ran up with darkness and you were like, haha, fuck your plan, pillar of light.
No, yeah. I'm still a part of his party, and also not a dick. Or Lumio.
Well,
isn't.
see, Delian is also a part of his party, and he would have done that to someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
see, different characters. You got to remember that it's
Yeah.
tricky.
I don't like it.
All right, I'll be a dick from now on. You did
Okay.
this, Delian.
Thank you.
Quiet fool.
Yeah, so everybody will make it over to the map that is cunningly called Real House, which I will now activate, and I will do that.
Imposters!
Delete imposters. And
Zach, come on.
at
Quit meowing into the mic.
yeah, it's pretty close. Like even with trying to move a little slower so that you're staying under the cover of Dandarin's shield, it's not a far walk. You guys are there within a minute. And you did remember to close and lock the door in the front. So at the moment, the only way into the house is the window that Para escaped from, the one that's right there.
Sharut is immediately going to close all the curtains.
You're not in the house.
Oh, never mind.
Oh.
He's going to break into the house and then close all the curtains.
Please give me a disable device check.
Okay.
While he's doing that, I'll let him do his thing.
It's at a -2 because I don't have tools.
Correct. That'll not be enough to break it.
Use
It's
window.
okay. No, it's okay. I'll be right back. I cast Sphere of Darkness on the wall, and then I walk through the wall.
Okay. Like you go through like the keyhole, basically.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I know how it works. Like if there's anything on the other side of the wall that would let it through. So like you cast Sphere of Darkness on your side, and it sort of slips under the door, and it goes through the keyhole, and it still fills up the whole sphere, even though there's a wall between you and the other side.
Yeah, my hesitation was more so I was wondering if I even had access to my mouse because of Goon. So I was moving over to see where. Yeah, I was going to go through the door, yeah.
All right, and that to do Step Through Darkness, don't you have to spend a spell point?
I believe so.
I thought you said you don't have any more.
No, I don't have any more shadow points. I have
Any
spell
more shadow points? Okay, cool.
Yeah, so all I can do is darkness.
Gotcha. Then yes, you are on the inside, and everybody else is sort of outside.
Sweet, and I will see if there's anything to unlock and let him in.
Okay. You are able to unlock and open the door, and everybody can go inside. And as everybody goes inside, I am going to... another bolt sort of comes through, and in the darkness, Dandarin, you see it sort of ping off your shield. It looks like it was trying to go for her head as she was sort of duck crawling with you giving her cover, and instead it is just tung, and you have...
I mean, this has got to be a magic bow, right?
I mean, yeah, it's come from a really far. I don't know.
And it's aimed
like
directly for the head every time. Gotta be magic. Anyway, let's get her inside and behind various walls.
All right, and everybody... Sorry, I was moving some folks. Everybody gets inside, and I imagine shuts and relocks the door.
Yeah.
This area out here, this is like an outdoor pool area, right?
Yes, this area is completely outdoor. There's the only part that's really roofed is anything from these little pillars back to the wall. So like this.
Just in case, Sharut's gonna shut that door, and then he's gonna go and close all the curtains.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah. The rest of you see Para kind of like pulling at the one that hit her in the lower back, and she's just kind of, and she will manage to like pull out this bolt that she throws away.
Dandarin's going to examine the bolt.
It looks like a match for the bolt that you found in the head of the change. Same sort of fletching, same design, same head on the bolt, everything. And she says, "Can someone get this one out without doing more damage? Don't want to just pull it." And she's talking about the one that is basically like stuck into like the spot that's like right above her right eye. It managed to not pierce her eye, but it is like into the skull.
That's... Oh, God, that's just so strange. Sharut, I think that's your expertise.
What? Sharut was closing curtains.
The bolt from her skull, if you could remove
yes.
it.
Sit. And he's gonna motion her over to just kind of lie down onto the thing.
All right. And Sharut, can you give me a heal check here?
I can try. Yeah, I could try.
Well, I'll do my level best. Yeah. So she should be dead. Judging by the length of these bolts and the amount that's sticking out, it's kind of like tickling the base of her spine, but it's pointed in through the spot above her eye.
Under this strange.
Or not the base of her spine. I guess it'd be the top of her spine. Yeah. The base of her neck. There you go. You manage to just kind of like grip it and like twist a little bit and pull it out. And when you do, she kind of like slumps for a second, and then you just see the hole just real slowly start to close.
Can Sharut take a tissue sample while it does?
I mean, you have what's on the bolt.
He's gonna put that in a vial.
He's just gonna put that in a Ziploc.
It's just like strange. Puts it in the vial.
Looks at you and go, that's messed up.
You're like, this is very, very weird. Quietly scrapes the remains into a vial. I don't approve of this at all. Gathers more remains.
Sharut not curious at all.
So Forsidna says, well, what do we do? And Para says, yes, this is, I think he thought he killed me before, whoever this is, so.
I don't believe he did, as he is still here.
He might have saw the trail I left.
Mm-hmm.
Dillian saw direction of bolt, yes?
Yeah, that came from, like, way east.
Think good idea.
You know how sometimes you feel like you just launch it up into the air? Well, it's like somebody did that, and then it went somewhere, instead of back down to where it should be, which is the ground, because you just launched it straight up.
Will be difficult to track, but should try, yes?
No.
The spot or area that Delian's describing to you is literally the other side of 3/10.
No way to get there.
This has moved.
Well, you could walk for about 10 minutes.
Like, it's moved at least a kilometer or so?
No way to get there before the trail goes cold is what I meant.
Pretty much.
I guess then Sharut will look at Para and say, Sharut, no, not in best graces of people, but tend to understand this does not necessarily mean want to kill. Why is this strange archer trying to kill, you think?
And she says, I'm an envoy for a prince that half the nation, well, the nations believe should just be quiet, curl up, and die. Instead of doing that, he's still making things happen for his people. And he's making them happen on someone else's land.
Wouldn't make sense to go after Prince then and not envoy?
Maybe.
Doing that might cause a war.
Yeah, what your friend said. The thing about having the prince here is, yeah, it's sort of tantalizing, but once you go after the prince, you have reignited a war that everybody just signed a treaty about. You kill some envoy, that sort of thing just happens.
Unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
Any recent dealings may have caused extreme misgivings, perhaps?
A few, maybe, but nothing I thought I'd be killed over. Most of the things lately have just been small time, really, trade deals, that sort of stuff. Making sure that the road warden presence was boosted a little bit, since one of Erleman's camps were discovered nearby. Gathering some mercenaries to escort the workers that are going to be helping with the aqueducts. That's been it, really.
Can Sharut do a check on the arrow to see if he can't find more information about it, or?
Sure. Go ahead and give me a what would that be? What do you want to check? Tell me what you want to check. I'll tell you what to roll for me.
So I know the fletching or the feathers were the same as the other arrow. But he doesn't really have knowledge, geography or knowledge of nature, so he couldn't really make a check to see where those came from. I suppose a knowledge engineering to see if he can determine if there's a specific group that makes arrows that can fly farther, or these particular types of arrows that would be able to fly farther?
How about yeah, you can give me the knowledge engineering, but then I'll follow it up with a survival check. So give me the knowledge engineering, or not survival, knowledge nature if you have that, survival if you.
Okay, I do not have knowledge nature. So
Okay, so go ahead and give me a knowledge engineering.
there's engineering, and then I'll do survival.
Sounds good.
Consistency.
Hell yeah, consistency.
Consistency.
That is,
That's 328 minus a 0.5.
yeah, that is a shocking number of high rolls for you there, Noah.
I know, right?
Um,
Just a moment ago, I was getting all ones on those
yeah,
time checks.
I'm used to
it
you
felt so
being
good.
worse, and I want you to go back.
Amina will.
Oh my god.
Yes, this is a distance arrow. What you know about this is that it's not a lot. Or sorry, it's a distance bolt. What you know about this is that it is capable of, on average, flying faster and farther than your average bolt. It's a little bit less accurate for that because it is essentially sacrificing everything for distance, but that doesn't seem to have affected anything in terms of how this is working out for this particular archer.
Are there any, like, because I'm assuming these have to be made, right?
Yeah.
Like these have to be specifically crafted. So with what I have from the specific fletching, am I able to try to narrow it down to a specific group, or if not, that's, I understand.
Trick, and I'm saying trick with like the rabbitest of rabbit ears, trick arrows are extremely prevalent in Eberron. They are, for a lot of people's, like Eberron doesn't have gunslingers, it has wand slingers. You have people that like just carry like a quiver full of wands that have a bunch of different purposes. For people that aren't even magically inclined enough to activate wands, it's a common thing for like hunters, rangers, that sort of stuff, to carry just like a quiver of trick arrows. Like you got your grapple arrows and your barbed arrows and your signal arrows and that sort of stuff. So these aren't exactly rare. But that said, does anyone here have knowledge nature?
I believe Quintus does.
Yes, Quintus does. I can roll it from Quintus.
I do not.
Quick, Muppet Quintus.
One thing I don't care about.
Muppet up some
apparently.
knowledge.
Yeah, so that everybody knows, Justin couldn't be here tonight, so I will be doing a Quintus Muppet. Hold on, we'll make his roll.
Remember, he
public.
rolls twice.
Yeah, I know.
And while he rolls, he normally waves his arms in the air.
Well, he did it.
Good job.
Way to go, Quintus. Quintus will look at it and go, well, I don't exactly know where it's from, but I know that Tinros mostly come from the land walls, mountains to the east, and those are Tinro arrows. Those are Tinro feathers. They are a sort of a upper elevation burrowing bird that routinely winters in the land walls. And so that you know, I'll activate map so that you can see it. What he's saying is like, so this mountain range right here is called the Seawall Mountains. These are the land wall mountains. Yeah, like he's saying that, like, well, I know the feathers come from birds that do tend to, like, at the very least migrate around this area for the winter. They actually go to where it's colder for the winter, not where it's warmer. So
Only city in direction, big one anyway. Kenran.
well, there's some other ones in that area, and wouldn't be out of the question to think that someone from Vatheron could take a trip to the land walls. But yes, the main one near them would be Kinra.
Chirrut will turn to Para. Any particular business in Vatheron?
Some. The trip that I knew that we were going to make would steal a bit of potential business from Vatheron. It's and she says, so I'll draw it on the map so that you guys understand what she's saying. She goes, what Orgev wants and what Quintus has been trying to work out is a rail line that goes from Star Lasker down to New Seer and over Kinra, and then potentially down farther into Dark. Well, kind of leaves Vatheron out of any trade that Dargon might have. I'm sure Vatheron would rather that we start there, just go down to Kinra and leave us out of it entirely. And all of these villages in the middle, these small towns. There's even a castle or a couple of keeps in that area. They're not doing great from the creatures that exit home. Kinran is managing to survive. Vatheron is not doing great, but a lot of the small ones have just vanished, overrun. So, yeah, I can... If it's from that area, I can imagine why somebody would want to kill me. Completing that line might actually help them out. But whether it would or not doesn't really play into what we need.
Suppose, next question for Miss Belkin. With affliction, do you still wish to serve Orgev?
Of course I wish to serve New Seer. This is what I do.
Dandarin's gonna give that a sense motive.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we asked if she was loyal to Orgev, and she said, I'm loyal to New Seer. Seems fine.
She's Santa Claus and can do no wrong. Yeah, you believe her. She's, maybe she considers that New Seer and Orgev are one and the same.
Well, have job.
How are we going to get me out of here? Are we just leaving from here? Are we just gonna head to the manor? What are we doing?
Well, I've got to get these 2 bodies to Orgev.
If you were covering her with your shield, you absolutely
I didn't have
bodies
them.
on you.
He's gonna thumb towards the well.
Yeah, there's just 2 staked bodies wrapped in tarps near the well, and someone's gonna walk by and go like, "Oh, I know what to do here." Just throw them in the well.
All right, Sharuk, go get him. What?
Yeah, like if you were walking and covering her with a shield, there's no way that you were like.
No, that's why I didn't say anything. But yeah, Dander.
Yeah, I imagine that the barrel and the 2 bodies, the barrel and the 2 bodies were the majority of what you guys carried out. That was heavy, and not another mobile person. So that stuff is all just still sitting at the well.
So
Sharut suggests Dandarin grab wagon. If
that was the plan. I'm gonna grab the wagon, then I'm gonna go pick up the bodies in the barrel. I need
dirty dwarf.
We are not
He just-
far from Stalwart's residence. We may be able to get him to help us.
Well, at the very least, he can cover the wagon.
Yes, he's
Behind
also
it from
massive
wherever
and
they're
easy
shooting.
to put someone behind.
When I said cover, that's what I meant. He would be providing cover with his body. His massive, giant, warforged Colossus body.
With his
Yes,
body.
he's also not 2 mules and easier to get around.
His booty.
That's actually
First off, I haven't used mules on this wagon. They're fine thoroughbred horses.
Yeah. Are they mage-bred horses now, or are they just like...
They are not mage breds yet. We only
Yeah.
have the one, and that belongs to the land.
Okay.
They are heavy war horses.
Heavy war horses. All right. So is that what's happening? Is Dandarin's going to go get the wagon?
And I guess Lumia's going to go get Stalwart.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan of action because we can't really take her to Orgev without out in the open without being riddled full of holes.
Wait, she can't be killed. Hold on, and Dander's just going to tie her to the shield and just walk out there. He'll run out of arrows eventually.
Well, what'll happen is that, he'll just shoot her enough that she hits 0 hit points and goes, no, and turns into a bunch of mist and goes back down into the hole.
I love her last words is no.
All right. So, let's see. This group is staying at the house. We have Lumio is going to go and try to grab Stalwart. Dandarin doesn't actually have to go all that far for the wagon because the wagon is close by. The horses have basically been tethered in front of Bearskin, I believe, or no, to the back of Bearskin. The horses were actually near the wagon. They've just been tethered there for like hours.
So Dander will do the proper, walk the horses real quick.
Yeah.
Give him a quick brushing, give him a couple apples, and then, all right, back to work.
All right. And
While they're away, Sharut's gonna put his inflict wounds into some bolt files.
sure thing.
Why don't you give her one? I don't know.
Everybody who's still in the sort of main room, and by everybody who's in the main room, I mean Noah, so Sharut and Quintus and Delian, and for Sidna, actually no, for Sidna wouldn't be there, she would go with Lumio, and Para, you all kind of jump as a bolt tries to force itself through the keyhole at speed. It doesn't make it through, but it definitely does just kind of crack, and it sounds like something just impacted the lock.
Okay.
Nothing a wedge can't fix.
I think it's trying to keep us here by locked door. That too bad.
Sharut's gonna blink for a minute, and he's gonna reach into basically his vest, right? Because he's got a healer's kit at all times. And he's gonna take out some medical cloth, and he's gonna plug up the holes.
Okay. I
We'll
mean,
see.
okay, cool. Sharut uses some bandages and just rolls them up and puts them in the keyholes. And he's like, that solves that problem.
Door has been injured. I fix.
Oh my god.
Dandrin, help! I can't stop the bleeding.
As
To door.
Deline will kind of secure things a bit better, find gaps, because he knows how gaps work. And as he's doing it, he's just looking over.
This reminds me of the time my second cousin on my great-grandmother's side, and
Just starts going into what could be a believable story if you had a vivid imagination.
A vivid imagination. Just lies.
It's
So
just
Sharut-
lies. There's
Sharut
probably
doesn't
specks of truth.
understand
Wait,
any of it.
You
Is
didn't
what
say
you're
your
saying.
grandmother on your second cousin's side. You said your second grandmother and your cousin.
did I say that? Oh, well, anyway.
Yes, we gnomes are a prolific race, and so
Go up and down the family tree, if you know what I mean.
Lumio,
Yeah.
you arrive at your place of residence with Stalwart to find Stalwart sitting in the basically he's sitting on the floor in his sort of tool room, and he has what looks to just be like a huge rasp, and he's like sort of moving the rasp along a piece of wood. And it's like a rasp is basically like an oversized wood file, and he's just kind of like and he's doing somewhat delicate work, even though the rasp is about 10 times the size of what he's working. He's just kind of like doing what he can to make little adjustments here and there. It looks like he's working on crafting a horse's head.
Lovely. Stalwart, are you in the mood for some danger?
And he'll kind of
Specifically trying to ask yes and no questions.
he'll kind of look up at you, and he points to you, and one of these like massive bolted on eyebrows raises a bit.
I am in I'm in a situation where I could use someone who is large and sturdy to help protect someone who is having arrows launched at them from quite a distance away.
And he'll kind of nod a little bit, and he stands up, and he points at Forsidna, and he looks at you, and he points to her shield, and he nods, and then he points to her sword, and he shakes his head.
Of course. Do you have anything that would serve you as such? Unused door that we might replace later?
And he kind of, you'll see him just look around, and he'll go to like his tool table, and he kind of like starts taking everything off. He's not being super ginger about it, but like he's not just sweeping it all off. And you see him like take it all off, and then he grabs his table.
You are one of the finest individuals I know. I will handsomely replace this or upgrade it, however you do with the favor that Orgev provides me from this mission that I am soon to impart on.
And he just kind of nods. Just
All right. How familiar are you with? I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the district that's over here.
It is Tolvin Circuit.
Tolvin Circuit.
And he holds out a hand and kind of waves it back and forth.
Yes, they need less plow sharing, as it were, these days. But we are helping the ambassador for New Seer, who is having her life targeted this night from some unbelievable marksman. We believe him to be on the far side of 3/10. Yes, 3/10, as I was told. He was doing a quick, trying to remember which district we were talking about as we were at the house.
He does the thing again where he kind of like raises that huge bolted on eyebrow.
Indeed, some kind of sophisticated measure. I think our own more or less arranger was concerned with the bolts being empowered with some magic. So, but it doesn't look like anything that table will be severely damaged by. I should hope.
And so Stalwart, I don't have a token for Stalwart because I did not imagine that you would ask him to provide cover. So I have a pillar of stone, and he'll be that pillar of stone.
Well, that's a simplified version of what he
That is just Stalwart with no arms, so yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys can all sort of go back, and I will put everybody back into the real house.
And so, anyways, that's how all the cheese left New Seer.
Shrut, don't believe.
And at the same time as Sharut says, Sharut, don't believe you, Forsidna goes, I knew there was something behind it. I did not know it was so severe.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's real bad.
Sharud is just confused.
Yeah.
That's so good.
No, it's just like she just got back with Lumio, and she just goes like, yes, of course. Delian must have the information on the cheese conundrum that's threatening the city. Yes. For all the rest of you, Lumio arrives with Stalwart in tow. So this room is very quickly becoming just full of people, since Stalwart is about 2 Dandarins tall and 2 Dandarins wide.
And that's a generous use of Dandarins.
Yeah, that's how I like to measure the general height and width of things, is in Dandarins. It's a measurement that I made up. No, yeah, Stalwart is well over 7 feet tall and about 6 feet wide. And he's just covered in like these huge metal plates because he's a Warforged Juggernaut. So, he big, and he kind of comes in carrying a table. Like the door opens and the table comes in, and then he comes in behind it, and he sort of sets the table so it's leaning against the wall, and like keeps a hand up on the top legs. And
Is the table taller than him?
yeah,
Wow.
It's a good table.
It's a
That's
good
D&D table.
yeah, it's a good thick like D&D table.
Nice. That's a real thick D&D table.
Yeah.
Well done.
And at this point, what would you guys like to do? I imagine you want to try to smuggle Para out of here.
I know you all met, but this is my roommate Stalwart.
Wow. Is that a table?
Uh-huh.
Is that like a thick D&D table?
It is.
Wow.
Actually, he was using it more of as a workbench to hold his tools.
Oh.
But I would see it used as a D&D table. Yes.
Wow, that's real impressive.
Mm.
Nice to meet you, Stalwart.
And he kind of like nods to you, and he holds out this huge tridactyl hand if you would like to shake his hand.
Sure. I will try to do that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how dainty he is. I'm letting you know Delian has his safety squints on because he's afraid his arm's gonna be ripped off.
A fair supposition, surprisingly gentle for something that size.
Oh, that's
Like
nice.
like he doesn't even really grip your hand. You kind of hold one of his fingers and he shakes his hand a little
So
bit.
he lets me lead. What a wonderful Warforged trend.
Indeed, he is.
So yeah, so how do you want to, like, you can't really move the wagon right to the door or anything. There's still going to be a bit of a gap there. So what are we thinking as far as like how you're actually going to move Para out of here?
I mean, we could try and do the same thing that we did down in the ruins, and that's just get like a tarp or a sheet or something and just try and block his view. But I don't think that's gonna help all too much, considering he tried to shoot a bolt through the frickin' keyhole. So I'm open to other suggestions, but that's what I have just off the top of my head.
I got nothing. I've never really dealt with whatever this is.
Well, if you're bodyguarding someone, generally you do what you can to gather around them. Use your body to block theirs.
Oh, I can understand why I never went into bodyguarding.
Given her size, Sharut, Quintus, and Delian, 3 of you, likely be better suited serving as some sort of a distraction or doing what you could to prevent sight from getting through, to prevent attacks entirely. I can do what I could to put my shield on the line, and I'm sure Denderin will do the same, but Denderin must also be ready to drive the wagon, so he cannot really do everything here.
What point does Dandarin arrive back there?
You would actually probably get there before Stalwart and Lumio did. Like you would have been back by the time they got there.
I mean, the obvious thing is make a box, put her in it.
Oh, that's it. End of sentence.
Just put her in the back. Stalwart sits on the back, guarding from the direction the
Provided
projectiles
there
are
is only
coming.
one, and they're not going to target any of us in order to get
Wagon is also covered, so it's a couple layers of visual block. Say they tried to shoot through the keyhole?
Yeah.
Yes.
Whoever this is so far beyond our pay grade, it's laughable.
You actually
Or they're just using a very magical bow.
You actually see, like, when you come back, that there is a bolt sticking out of the keyhole that looks like it went about 3 or so inches through before, like, friction just stopped it. And the other keyhole is filled with white cloth.
I see that Sharut tried to fix the engine door.
Did
Yeah.
not work. Could not save. Shame.
It's gone.
We lost a good man
for-
today.
What shit? Dandarin's gonna just like, because it now has bugged him and like pet his peeve. He's gonna, step in, close the door, pop the arrow out with the hammer, and just fix the lock.
Yeah, like it doesn't look like it did much in the way of like permanent damage, but it would have rendered the lock like unusable until somebody is able to get it out. You have some chisels, so you can like pop a chisel through and crack it out. It's no problem for you.
When Dandelion learned necromancy.
It's my secret. I've always been a necromancer of metal.
Finger wands.
Finger wands. That's right, because guns don't exist.
Dandelion needs to be driving the wagon, so it sounds like it's going to be Stalwart and Forsidna kind of putting the envoy in the back, and Team Tiny is going to be doing what they can to sort of cause distractions or block line of sight. And Lumio, what would you like to do?
Set the world.
Indeed.
Mother, I wish to
I've been
cause
thinking about the
violence.
war sphere, and what I can do to really help out here. I was looking for. There's one that allows me to attach it to a vehicle, my totem to a vehicle, so that we can have it go with us. But I'm not finding it. It's not one I normally have.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It like makes it mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it mobile tactics? No.
Actually, it looks like it can just be attached to the vehicle, and it follows it. I have to. Oh, but it only extends to the edge of the vehicle space, so that's not the worst.
That's not the worst. That would be good for the one that lets you like see through each other's eyes.
Yeah, I think I'll do that though.
Okay.
And then we can all share. Yeah. So, actually, yeah. All right, I'm gonna roll on that because that's a wild magic start off the bat.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll. Missed it by 5. All right. So you are able to put the totem inside the vehicle.
It's gonna go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because this is the one I'm adding. Because I don't have the share senses totem, so I'm adding that, and by adding that, I need to add 100. So
all creatures within close range of the caster may make an attack as an immediate action. Thankfully, I don't think any of your friends want to hit you, and the person who is harrying you is not within close range. So
all right.
I'm actually going to move us all to the new seer map. What were you saying there, Noah?
Oh, I was gonna make a bad joke. I was gonna say Stalwart immediately attacks.
Stalwart cannot let this stand any longer. He sees his opportunity. All right, so we got Dandelion up front. We got Lumio kind of like rushing out, putting the totem in the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
Sharut and Delian, what would the two of you like to do?
Would now be a good time to get the bodies real quick.
When I grab the wagon.
Okay.
and then
Yeah,
I
we
brush
already
my-
have the bodies in the barrel.
Yeah,
I hadn't
he
heard
put the
that.
bodies.
Sounds good.
He put the bodies and the barrel in there.
Don't worry, I took care of the bodies. Meanwhile, back at the well, Dandelion just upheaves them back in.
Oh no, the bodies hit the floor.
All if
By
you're
the time I got there, someone had already killed him. I don't know what happened.
all right. So, what would you like to do there, Delian?
And so the totem you're putting down is the shared vision totem.
Mm-hmm. Senses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm casting telescope on myself.
Okay. What does that do?
So, I make myself glow faintly, and then I give the ability to magnify incoming light, granting them a circumstance bonus to sight-based perception checks equal to 2 + 1 per 5 caster levels. In addition, the distance at which the DC for sight-based perception checks increases, improves by 10 per caster level.
So normally it's +1 per 10 feet. Now it's +1 for 20 feet.
Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, everybody shares senses, and then everybody can see way more than they can normally see.
I have been waiting for this.
It's hard to drive with this.
All right, and I imagine that you're like jumping in the wagon real quick.
Yeah, I'm jumping in the wagon, on top of the wagon, looking down at the wagon, looking up at the sky, and then hopping in the wagon.
Okay. Sounds great. This only really affects the people already in the wagon. But
No, and that's so good.
Dandelion and Lumio have a nightmare moment. Sharut. Sharut, what would you like to do, Sharut?
I guess there's not really much I can do here, right? Because
Okay, and that's fair.
yeah, like he's gonna try to help get her into the wagon, but he's gonna stay out of the way mostly because there's not much he can do here.
All right. So there's that, and then Quintus will do what he can to suppress vision. I believe he can actually do what he can to suppress vision on Para. So he is going to suppress vision on her, which doesn't suppress her vision. It suppresses it helps to suppress the ability for other people to see her. So it gives her like bonuses to stealth. And then he's going to get in. And then Forsidna and Stalwart are going to start like getting into the wagon with her. And I'm going to make a roll. And you all see a bolt fly towards where it actually might have been kind of headed towards Para. But it just hits this huge oak table and just thwack. And then there's this bolt just kind of like quivering in the wood. Forsidna helps to get her into the wagon, and what kind of happens is they get into the wagon and move everybody up, and then Para will lay down flat so that she has the sides of the wagon that are raised as further protection, and then Stalwart who gets into the wagon, and the whole wagon kind of does this like, oh god, like oh no, and then it sort of like levels off as the horses step forward a little bit. And he holds up the table so that the little opening in the back of the wagon is now mostly table. And once he does that, he will take kind of his hand and go like thump thump on the wagon.
Yeah, normal.
All right. So rather than put the whole thing on there, Dandrin, you are going to be the wagon. Which way would you like to go?
We are going to take a roundabout way.
All right.
Instead of directly at the archer.
I don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead and give me your piloting check or your handle animal check, whichever you'd like to roll there.
Eric, no.
So yeah, the horses are just tired. That's all it is. Like, they have been waiting to move for hours while you guys went down and did like adventure-y stuff. And so now that you're like, yeah, they just kind of like trot along. They're trotting along better than the mules and the donkeys were, but not by much. And then you are, you're here. At this point, where would you like to go?
Once again, sticking to
Sort of the side roads?
Side roads.
All right. One sec. So an arrow flies past your head, Dandrin. Like, as you're facing forward, facing southerly, it flies past your head and into the wagon. And it seems to just hit the table, but it hits the table from the back instead of the front, if that makes sense. Like, the arrow came at you from this direction.
Oh, either they've moved, there's more than one of them, or that's a real magic bow.
That's just a real magic bow. And you said you wanted to go through that way. Go ahead and give me another roll there. All right. Put yourself, I guess, on this main road somewhere. And from here, where would you like to go? All right.
Yes.
Yeah. And at that point, you'll be here-ish.
And we got to make the...
There's a point when you start to turn north, and an arrow seems to fly at you from this tree, and you hear, and everybody in the tree hears that, like, fucking ah! And Sharut, you're in the back, and you see that there's another bolt that didn't hit her in the head, but it didn't miss her by much. She's just got a bolt sticking out of her neck, and she's just and she's like kind of gripping it, like she's struggling to pull it out.
Don't pull yet. Wagon make difficult. Do not hurt more. Wait.
And Dandrin, give me your last handle animal check here. All right. You pick up a bit of speed, and the addition of some screams from the back really help here. The horses tend to go like, all right, yeah, like things are loud around us. We're going to go real fast. And you make it into the manor without further shots flying into the wagon. And at that, I think it's about time for us to take a break. So we will take a break, and we will be back in, let's say, about 15 minutes. So let's come back at 9:25.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, and we're back. So.
We're back, the band.
We're back, the band, starring the band.
Prince Orgev's place.
Yeah, that's apparently where Dandrin lit the wagon. So you guys are at Prince Orgev's place. You show up, you're down here, kind of, And you've got a...
What? I didn't do that.
It wasn't me.
It's one of you.
Hold up.
I have
don't know
not
why
done
that
any
happened.
rolling.
Delian has an aneurysm.
Oh,
What the fuck?
I don't know, man. The only way to roll an intelligence roll, as far as I know, is to actually be in somebody's, like, attributes.
So what I noticed, and this is very strange because I didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
My sheet was in a pop-out menu underneath the actual like table,
Weird.
and when I moved, it clicked that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
and
the only thing I
apparently
can come up with.
The shock of it gave you a stroke.
Yeah, it
'Cause
sure did.
That was a 1. All right, so yeah, you guys, you pull up. There's a couple of royal guards there, but Dannerin. So yeah, like some of the royal guards will attempt to stop you. And
They're escorting the envoy. See Prince Orgev. There are assassins about, and she is no longer safe in her home.
and
They appear to be targeting her specifically.
they'll kind of let you through and nod and open the gate, let you through, shut the gate, and there will be sort of a general alarm that goes up. You will see one of them basically lift the helm a bit because he has the tall helm sort of shaped like the Metroline, the Metroline with the head and the stovepipe hat, and he
What's
lifts it a bit and puts a horn to his mouth, and there's like a series of rapid blasts that go out, and some of the guards move with you, others do not. They sort of stay there. But yeah, you guys get a bit of an escort, and eventually, Dannerin, you are able to make it to like the base of the steps, where the lot of you can get out, and with the House Deneath bodyguard, Danderin, and Stalwart in his table, the 3 of you will be able to kind of escort Para to the front door, which one of the guards will, and you will all be led inside.
Lovely.
And
Good.
at the top of the landing of the steps, you will see Cogsworth coming down with he doesn't have the little, the little fake monocle. He doesn't have any of his like facial accoutrements attached. He comes down with a wand in each hand and is looking around and says, "Someone please tell me what is going on now."
Assassins are coming after Parabelkin. They've been attempting it ever since we recovered her. They've exclusively targeted her, as if they're using magic attuned to her to shoot at her.
I see. And he'll look to the guards and say, "Take her into the pantry. It's the safest room. Only one entry." And he says that to a pair of the guards, and to the other pair he says, "The 2 of you escort the prince to his safe room." And as they start up the steps past Cogsworth, he sort of holds out a hand. I mean, there's a wand in the hand, but he holds out the hand and says, "He is in a bit of a mood and will attempt to do something brave and daring. Escort him to the safe room." And they kind of nod to Cogsworth. Yes, sir, Mr. Cogsworth, sir. And they will sort of go upstairs and then kind of disappear out of sight. And these guys will take Para into the pantry with them. And Cogsworth says, "We should be safe here. Attacking the house directly would be an act of war that's bold enough that I don't think anyone would be willing to do with this. Come with me and explain what's happened." And he will sort of lead you all, not too far in. He just takes you into the next room so that there's no direct windows to give line of sight to you. And as soon as he has you in there, eventually you will see a number of the royal guard come in and just kind of position themselves so that they have the general lay of the room. And 1 second, real quick. Sorry, I need to mute.
It's all good.
Devising how we're all going to die.
It
You could stop describing Noah to his
All right.
When I get hyper focused, man, it's either I have focus or I don't.
All right.
I just don't.
So, yeah, the royal guard will come in and kind of position themselves at some of the doors, and Cogsworth will take you into the throne room and say, "Please explain precisely what is going on."
So,
Okay. Oh, go ahead, please. Yours is going to be shorter than mine.
Right, so up to the point when last they told anyone anything, to go get Parabelkin, Horse House, tracked her down, multiple assassination attempts, followed her into a well, found her, defeated some vampires, There are vampires under the city, by the way. We brought the bodies staked. And since we've escaped the well, multiple attempts have been made on Para's life. Sharut has kept her alive, safe. Made our way here because we figured this would be the safest place to inform the prince of the goings-on of the night.
So to make sure that I have this correct, multiple assassination attempts on her. She escapes to under the city, where you then went. You have returned with her. When I saw her, she had an arrow in her neck, but seemed to be moving around. Is she also a vampire?
Yes.
That appears to be the case, yes.
You've brought a vampire into Prince Orgev's home and have 2 additional staked ones in your wagon.
We were under the impression Prince Orgev would want them questioned before we destroyed them outright.
This was all Quintus's
Quintus's
idea. Yeah.
It was also Quintus's
Yeah.
It was also Quintus's idea to bring Para here.
They
Some
are
point.
citizens of Seer.
But they're also undead. Yeah.
Para
And-
has also said she still wishes to serve Crown despite affliction.
There has been some rumor to the effect of Para being a member of the cult of the Blood of Vol. Have you discovered anything to this effect?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Rumor holds merit.
Well then, we will consider having them questioned, but we will need to see her restrained. In the meantime, please wait here. I have to make sure that the prince has listened to his advisors and to his guard and is safely in his safe room. And he'll sort of leave the room, and he goes upstairs for a while, and about 5 minutes later comes back down and says the prince is safe, and he's in a room that even a rather large, even our rather large friend, and he kind of nods to Starward, or a skilled vampire would have some trouble getting into. Once the manor was rebuilt, we spared no expenses in getting a Kundarak certified safe room put in. We knew that eventually some assassins would come for him. They haven't this time. They've come for one of his envoys, but more or less the same. And he'll look at Quintus and say, "You believe that these creatures are worth interrogating?" And Quintus says, "Well, I was there when Lumio and Sharut were questioning them and trying to get in, and it didn't seem that they were able to not that they didn't want to, but that they weren't able to. And at one point, I don't know if you know much about undead. I'm sure you know a bit, given your origin and our previous enemies, but I don't know if you ever saw them in battle. I've studied them a bit, and I know that if you present something that you believe in to a vampire, you can hold them at bay. And I did that with the woman that we had staked in the wagon, and I was proclaiming her to be an agent working against Seer, and she said to me, 'I'm Seerin, you idiot,' and told me that she didn't want what had happened to her. So it doesn't seem like they were working against us, but they aren't necessarily our enemy. They had little choice." And Cogsworth will nod and say, "We have heard that a lot. There are many who work against someone in wartime and say, well, it wasn't my choice. I couldn't do anything else." And you guys are all old enough to have experienced something in the last war. You know that that's just kind of how it goes. Every now and then you have to do something that you don't want to. I'm not saying like war crimes nonsense level, but like you're given an order to like hold a fort that you don't want to, or whatever. It's not always a magical compulsion. Sometimes it's just orders.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone did what our wagon did.
What?
Not everyone enjoyed it like our wagon did.
You guys in the wagon? No, just the wagon. And he will say, "Well, Quintus has made his opinion on this clear by arguing for Miss Belkin's continued service, but I would ask the rest of you what your opinion of this is." He goes, "And not to differentiate in opinion, but I'm going to start with the native sons. Delian, what do you think we should do with her?"
Well, and he just kind of like leans back wherever he can lean back. What I see it as, like, regardless of, like, if she wants to work, she wants to work, and that's fine. This is just a new life-changing, I guess, life-changing experience, and should she become a liability, it's easy to remove a liability.
It is not easy to remove a liability as strong as a vamp.
I'm sure Prince Orgev has something.
He has some things, but he is not a man of unlimited resources in it.
Then get rid of her.
Lumio, you're native to Seer. What would you say?
It's an interesting quandary to consider. To be honest, I don't believe we have anybody who can replace her skill. Were that not the case, then it would be a simple thing to wave her away and not see it through. But as it is, I feel that while it will be difficult, we are at the most best served by her helping us at the moment. Although the problem remains what she's been compelled not to do, and that is something we should see before committing to the endeavor.
There is a compulsion in place. This wasn't mentioned before.
Yeah, there's compulsions, and we don't know if she can be compelled to do something.
So I apologize. I can clarify. The vampires have a response to their master that they will obey to the best of their ability, even if they logically think it would be inconsistent or difficult for them to do so. I believe we were the two who are staked in the wagon were compelled or told to not let anyone in, and they did their best to keep us out, even with bargaining and attempting to assuade us with the use of magic trinkets.
The compulsion changes things. Well, it means that we won't be able to trust her until her master is taken care of, because
Indeed, I believe this so.
Anything we might say to her could reach that master's ears. Anything that we trust her with might just be awaiting betrayal for some hidden master to capitalize on. There is a lot of danger in just blindly trusting that such a thing could go our way.
Indeed.
Well then, for our foreign advisors, Mr. Sornath.
Well, if we don't have a means of breaking compulsion, don't know what use the other two are going to be. As far as Ara goes, Miss Belkin, it's possible that she hasn't received any orders, since implications from what Sharut has said, how they were treating it, and the state we found her in is that she had just awoken. So it's likely she's not under any non-standing orders, but we can't know for sure. So strain until such time as we can confirm anything. There's also the addition of the master of these vampires still here. It's a serious threat, and anyone close to Orgev could simply be told, with no ability to resist, to kill him to the best of their abilities, has the abilities of a vampire. Honestly, I'm not sure that it's worth the risk.
We'll need to speak with the clergy of the Sovereign Host and potentially send for some hunters from the Silver Flame. The host can grant protection. None would be able to track down this evil as skillfully as Inquisitors of the Silver Flame.
If we can find the master vampire and kill them, then Para's will, my understanding, Quintus's explanation of vampires, she'd be free of his influence and could act on her own accords. Given that Karnathi vampires have the ability to act lawfully and within a structure, it's not impossible. But we'd have to kill that master first.
Yes. Well, you have to understand how dreadful the optics of something like this are. We are already a small and wounded nation. Have even rumor of such a high-ranking member of our diplomatic envoy active as a vampire proved disastrous for any relationships we might have been trying to cultivate. Well, like you said, I doubt Karnath would care, but Thrain definitely. They are run by the church in all things. Sharut, your opinions?
Sharut think opinions thus far shared are valid, but if murder attempts also taken into consideration, think she should be allowed to complete mission. Twice attempts on life show they do not want her to go to Kenran for negotiation. Must think she have good chance of negotiating in favor of New Seer. Though her supposed master is a problem, still think worth risk.
Make no mistake, she is an extremely skilled diplomat, but she is not the only one we have. In a pinch, Lumio or even Quintus could serve. Lumio is exceptionally skilled as a wartime general, and Quintus served as an extraplanar envoy.
No doubt skills, but can replace Paras at same level.
Maybe not entirely, no, but I'm sure that, as I said, the optics. So there will be a, one of the doors will open, and you'll see Eric Slanimer walk in past the Royal Guard, and he looks very tired. Like, he's not still in his nightgown, but he's not dressed to the nines like he normally is. He's basically in, like, a long shirt and some pants with like overalls over them, or not overalls, but like suspenders on.
Oh yes.
He doesn't have the whole like the coat over it with the tails and all that. And he says, Cogsworth, when you have a moment, the prince requests an update, and I am framing that far more politely than he did, considering, quote, I was ordered locked away. And Cogsworth will nod and say, I understand. I will get to him as soon as I can. Thank you, Latimer. And he'll nod to them and then head out. And just kind of like disappear from view. Yeah, he will look to the others and he'll say like, Miss Denise, do you have an opinion on this? And Forsidna says, if she were only a vampire and you were able to kill her master, I think there would be something there, perhaps some inkling of trust. But she is not only a vampire. She is a priestess, a cleric of the blood. She sought this out instead of venturing to a temple or the clinic. This was her first place of refuge. She might have hired this assassin herself in order to fool the vampires into seeking out this solution. I do not think that you should allow her to serve. I do not think you should allow her to live. The blood cannot be trusted. And Cogsworth will nod and say, I assumed as much. You have a much longer history with the blood of Vol than we do. And he'll kind of look to Stalwart and say, Stalwart? And Stalwart just kind of like shrugs and he goes, I imagine. Yes, you didn't spend much time with this. Gentlemen, this will take some time. I'll have to update Orgev. We have to keep her, and if she is a vampire, she should become more or less dormant as the sun rises. And if not dormant, at least willing to lay in a box for a while, away from sunlight, while we ponder things. So for now, I would say return to your dwellings, but be here early in the morning. We may end up sending just the lot of you. It depends on what the prince decides. But I have your various recommendations, so I will make them known to him. And he'll like nod to all of you, and one of the royal guard, looking a little different, basically dressed the same, but has like a couple of command ropes hanging from the pauldron underneath the arm. You know those ropes of station like people will wear on their dress uniforms. Will walk in, and Cogsworth will nod to them and say, yes, Captain, if you could please escort these men back to their wagon. They will be returning early in the morning. Please instruct the guard to let them through. And the captain will nod and bring you all back out to the wagon so that you can basically go home and rest up.
Yay.
And so that you know, Lumio, I made a list of these. You had a favor with Stalwart, and that favor is now used. Okay, cool. Just making sure that's clear.
Yep.
All right, and everybody gets to go back to their houses. No decision will be made tonight. And yeah, so y'all get probably a not very good or not very long night's sleep. Delian, are you doing anything before you like tuck in?
Yeah, I think Delium might stop off. Oh no, Sharut said that I need to stay at his place because I have been so severely crippled.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
He's had his con drained.
I've had my strength drain. Like I've taken a severe amount of damage to my attributes.
Oh, because you got your con drained?
Yeah, I have 2 damage, 3 drain, and 1 damage on my intelligence, but that's from safety.
Yeah, the drain, we have to do basically like overnight healing, and I can only help with like 1 point of that. The damage I can attempt to heal right now.
Yeah, the drain I believe needs like spells to come back, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was thinking.
I think so. Yeah, actually.
Like Delium would probably go to a church.
Yeah, the Church of the Sovereign Host is always open.
Yeah, so I think Delian would do that, and then
it's also right there.
Perfect.
Yeah, walk down that big main street.
I mean, before you go
Free
to
of
the church, I do have 1 use left of my kit on you. I can try and heal your damage.
All right.
And that's just going to be a quick check.
Because I have been taking it pretty rough.
I believe that is over. I think that's just 1 point. Let me check. Oh no, 2 points. So I heal 2 points of the damage.
Cheers. So I have no more damage.
Okay, so you have no more damage. You just have the con drain.
Yeah, I have 3 con
conjuring.
Okay, so yeah, that's not something that Sharut can give back yet. Eventually he can, but that's like down the line.
Yeah.
So you want to go to the church, Dandrin? I assume you're going home. Okay, so Dandrin, you're going home. Lumio, you and Stalwart are just walking back to Stalwart's house.
Yeah.
Cool. For Sidna, we'll walk you back there and then walk over to the House Beneath Enclave. And Quintus, I believe, has a room at the manor, so he'll just stay at. For Delian, so like the church is always open, but the doors are like, how can I put it? You can go whenever you want, but at night they still like close the doors and lock the doors.
I mean,
But when you knock on them, within about a minute or so, a rather tired-looking priest will open the door. What you see is a man who is about 30, maybe 35, and is that kind of guy who looks like if he were to fully shave his face, he would look 11, so he always has a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow.
Good. I understand the plight.
Yeah. And he has hair that's maybe like a touch too long to be like a respectable, like big city priest. But like out here in the boonies, who cares?
Yeah, a job's a job.
And the door kind of opens and he says, yes, hello. And then he looks down and goes, oh, hello.
oh, hello.
What can I help you with?
Well, I have been not feeling all that well. I've come under some sudden uneasiness, and I'm just not feeling like I'm up to snuff, and I was wondering if you could help me out with that.
You mean magical healing then?
Yeah.
Of course, I'll do what I can. The Temple of the Sovereigns is always open to their children.
Well, I appreciate it. I see that you're rather tired, and quite frankly, so am I, so I do appreciate it.
It's honestly, if for the size of the population, having only one church doesn't leave a lot of doubt. But don't
imagine
worry
not.
about that. Please come on in.
All right, I won't worry about it.
And you enter into a Temple of the Sovereign Host. It has it's kind of an oddly like 9-sided building, and it's because like one wall all the way around, so it gives it kind of a round structure. But it's so that one wall of it all the way around can serve as like the sort of altar and the offering place, and have the glass, like the stained glass structure of one of each of the gods of the Sovereign Host.
Oh, very cool.
The one that you enter through is the door dedicated to Boldre, and Boldre is kind of the god of like community and like being good to each other. So it's fairly typical to make that like the door. Like, please enter, be part of our community, and don't stab folks. Boldre.
Damn.
And this guy leads you in, and he is he's kind of like shirtless. He's got on some light pants, and he's got no socks on. So he's just rocking pants and like a necklace.
I hear that. Yeah.
And he goes, do you have a particular member of the host that you find really speaks to you? I can perform the rituals wherever you'd like, or I could always just, pick those that I feel a calling to.
I feel an equal pull from all of them, whichever one suits me at that given time. So.
High holiday parishioner, as it were.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess. I don't like the way you worded it, but yeah.
Hey, I don't say it to be insulting, but just
no,
to be
not
honest.
at all. It's just the words felt weird for me. I don't like it.
Oh,
that's all.
Well, my apologies.
It's okay.
I find that I myself am something of a I find myself pulled to Aladra. So please.
Now
come
let's
this
go
way.
with that one.
And they all have kind of their thing. And when I say that there's like depictions of the gods, it's like depictions of the commonly accepted sort of. Nobody knows what the gods look like, but there are things that people go like,
yeah, it's all depictions.
Yeah,
of
like
what
Dol Dorn is probably a big knight with a hammer, and Col Corin is probably Dol Dorn is a big knight with a longsword, and Col Corin is like a big knight with a hammer and a mace, and that sort of thing. Aladra is basically depicted as like picture Mrs. Weasley. That is the best way I can put it. She is Miss Weasley from Harry Potter. She's
lovely.
She's like 45. She's a little plump. She's presenting a bounty of like food for the family. So like that's her depiction, and you can
really like
you
that
can
one.
clearly see why this guy likes that altar the best, because
he's portly.
He's not portly, but he's also not skinny. He's healthy, and when he
A
walks
bit husky.
when he walks over to her altar just has food on it.
Now hold up. I didn't. I call myself. Well, you called me a high holiday, but I need you to tell me what this is all about. Do you offer via food and you receive gifts via food?
Well, some are sacrifices, some are community offerings, some are things that I've made or that others have made to give community.
And as members of the community, are you able to equally give and take?
If you would like, the church is here to serve.
What's on the table?
There's some cookies, there's a couple muffins. You see something that looks like somebody basically took like, and when I say thick cut, I mean like hot dog thick cut bacon, and then like basically
that's really thick.
it's real thick. And they took like hot dog thick cut bacon and then like apparently fried that and rolled it in some sort of dough, which they also then fried. You see some desserts. There's some jerky. There's just fresh fruit up there, like fresh fruit and vegetables, that sort of thing. You also see a couple of bottles. Actually, you see a number of bottles of various kinds of liquor. They're all kind of on one side, and they all have basically the same House Galanda markings on them, so you know it probably came from that Galanda air, that eschews running an inn in favor of running a still.
Makes sense.
And you see that like all of the altars are kind of like this. They're not all give and take. Like Aladra is very much like the feast, the bounty, like come and join us as we eat. Like that's kind of her shtick. But like
Okay.
the words, the Kolkoran one will have like a couple of coins and like a nice pair of boots. You know, for he's the god of travel, so maybe somebody needs to travel, they need some boots. Well, there are some boots right there.
Oh, that's cool.
You also know, as somebody who was a member of the church in Metrol, this is not the way churches work.
No, not at all.
Are not sorry, you weren't a member of the church, but I'm sure at some point you went to one.
I probably went to one and maybe passed off as a member of the church to get certain things.
Yeah, and this is just this is not how churches work most of the time. You wouldn't walk into a church and see like, oh, so it's just like take a penny, leave a penny, but with pies.
Yeah, that's
just,
why Julian's kind of over the moon with this. He leaves a small pile of loose coffee and a gnomish trail ration, and he takes a muffin.
Sure. And you see that like this guy has basically kind of done the like cool teacher thing where he sort of hops up with half an ass cheek on the altar, and he grabs a tomato and he kind of
Wearing pants, it's fine.
and he goes, so what's up? What seems to be the issue?
Oh, well, first off, you're eating a tomato like it's a fruit, and that's.
I mean, it is.
Oof, well, I guess you're right. Well, I'm feeling pretty sickly, and you just hopped on a table and decided to. Well, yeah, I'm feeling pretty sickly, basically.
It's not like it's a root. It's not a potato. Like they're soft, they're crisp, they're juicy.
I guess you're right. It could always be worse.
People eat them raw and sliced on sandwiches. Why is just eating one so bad?
It's texture thing is just gross.
Okay.
It might be a personal thing. Does he take it like an extra large bite, just slowly pushes it into his mouth?
Kinda, yeah.
All right, I like your style.
He goes, so what's up?
Well, if you want the truth of the matter, I drained some of my blood to help out a friend, and now I don't feel so well.
So you're experiencing acute blood loss.
I am, sure. Yeah, it's not really cute, but yeah.
It's more the ugly kind of blood loss.
Acute sort of means severe and pointed, not dainty.
Oh.
It's acute.
I read that in the book somewhere, and now it makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, a dainty blood loss would be an entirely different. So
and that's why I thought it was weird.
all right.
Gotta bleed him a little.
And he kind of like he takes another bite and he goes, "Let's see what we got."
All right, and I'm just starting to eat the muffin.
And you see him like kind of like stretching, and he's sort of moving his arms, and he goes, "All right, Aladra, your child calls to you in his time of need. He bids you to restore the lifeblood lost to him on this day." And his hand kind of starts to glow, and he puts it to your head, and he will heal you of your conjuring.
Wow.
And he goes, it's always impressive.
Yeah, I'm very thoroughly impressed.
Me too. Sometimes...
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, it's just that, it doesn't always work. Like,
Oh.
the gods move in mysterious ways. I know that it's ironic and probably a little cliche to say it, but I'm the conduit. If Aladra doesn't want to grant you the magic, she just doesn't.
Oh, well.
That's why
I should feel blessed.
That's why I do what I can to give I don't want to say pick your poison. That'd be bad. Choose your fate. That also sounds bad.
Yeah, pick your poison's fine. I get it.
I don't think they'd like it, but
Well,
sure.
If, the job's done and the next time that you have to deal with it is when I'm hopefully not the one receiving it. So,
Sure. Yeah, if you could make whatever donation you think is appropriate at the door on your way out. There's a box for it. If you don't have anything, I understand. I know where I service.
Well, you're a really chill guy. What's your name?
Oh, Kinder.
Kinder?
Albrecht.
Oh.
Kinder Albrecht.
Nice to meet you, Kinder. Delian.
Delian. It's nice.
Very nice to meet you. Hopefully,
he goes, I'm
I don't
picking
have
up a
to come
little.
back here.
I'm picking up a little. You're from Metrol, right?
Yep. It always has that, look at him speaking in words sort of accent.
Yeah, more of a making boy myself.
Oh, well, hey, that's probably better than Metrol. That's, where I was in Metrol anyway.
I always felt like Metrol was that grand city that you wanted to see on the cards or see from a distance or watch the sunset on and never actually visit.
Oh, that's honestly really spot on. It makes pretty pictures, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, never really went there myself. I went all around Metrol. I even went past it, past the border into Talenta, past the other border into Karnath, go to the south. But I always ended up back in Making instead of in Metrol. I always heard Metrol was the hub of the world, but it always seemed like Making was where things happen.
I mean, you saved yourself a lot of grief. We'll be honest.
Probably. Well, been nice seeing you, Delian. I would like to finish
nice
this
seeing you,
tomato and get back to bed, so I'm gonna walk you out if that's fine. Or if you want to stay and pray, that's cool too, and I can just.
No, I can see myself out.
I can wait.
Yeah, I bet you could.
And so yeah, he'll walk you out. And you'll hear the door shut and the bar move to the lock again.
Well, I want to also put a couple gold coins in. We'll just say 5 gold coins into the donation and some more loose coffee.
Dick. Yeah, you leave a donation of please clean all of this, and you head out.
My bounty overfloweth.
Lovely.
Yeah, you go back to Malkin's house, I'm assuming, and sleep for the night.
Yeah, and I'll ponder on getting my own place here pretty soon.
Sharut,
Yes.
you wake in staggering pain, and you feel weak.
I don't like the sound of that. What do I see and how do I feel?
How ominous.
You see standing next to you a very angry looking Ryteal who just looks a bit peaked, and his lips are kind of drawn together, and he's Sharut, we need to talk. You've been very irritated. And as he says that, he kind of reaches back with his hand and just whops you in the face. And you just feel like it's not just a hit, it's like the force of the hit has just drained some of your life away.
What do we need to talk about?
I was trying to get past this, Sharut. I had spent months making progress, and then you and your friends decided that you were going to just barge in to take and kill those that I had put to work.
Right here. Do you mean?
So here's how this is going to work now, Sharut, and I want you to understand. And he takes a step back and he goes, stand. And you feel your body just compelled to launch you out of the bed. And he goes,
Yeah, he can't fight it, so yeah.
And he goes, now on one foot, now the other. Dance. Stop. And every time he says anything, your body is just doing it. Like your mind isn't even really telling your body not to. Like you feel like, oh, I just got to do what he says. And he goes, when the change first happened, it was bad, and I never properly got to thank you for what you did. I think it might have saved my life. But then the one that turned me came back. It was an elf, by the way. Beautiful elf who worked for the carnival. Came back, finished killing me, and then when I rose, gave me freedom and no knowledge. So I'm sorry if some people died, Sharut, but I've learned to control it since then. No one else should. Hopefully no one else ever will again. But you need to understand something. This power could really be something for our people if I can just figure out how to harness it so that half an army isn't killing the other half to stay alive. And I was making breakthroughs. I was figuring out what didn't work. And then you and your idiot friends smashed my lab and stole my assistants. And he reels back and he starts to swing at you again. And then he kind of sees how you're teetering and he stops. And he says, this is how this works now, Sharut. You will do what I say. You, whether through action or inaction, will never reveal that you know my identity. You will never lie by omission, though you will do all you can to drive your friends from finding out who I am or what I'm doing. If they decide that they are going to hire hunters, if they decide that they are going to go back into the pits, you will try to drive them away, and should you not be able to convince them otherwise, when the time comes, you will work in whatever manner you can against them. Do I make myself clear, Sharut?
Sharut feels compelled to respond.
Now,
Crystal.
you will work as you were before. Save this city if that's your goal. But I do not care for this city. I care for figuring out how to survive as more than a leech, and then sharing this power with the burgeoning strength of the old Dakani. I know how long this domination will last, Sharut, and you will do nothing to try to prevent it. Should you find that something will take you away from my side for more than 12 days, on the 11th day, you will chew out your tongue and remove your fingers, so that you will have no way of telling someone who I am. And then, still bleeding, you will vanish from your friends into the woods. Again, am I clear?
Yes.
And he like reaches into a pocket, like he's like looking at you and he's just glaring, and he reaches into a pocket and he pulls out a trio of potions and he sets them down and he says, drink those, Sharut. They will undo the damage that I've done to you, but know that I can do it again, that I can make you stand there begging for it as I beat the life from you. And know that if I do beat the life from you, you will not rise as me. You will not have the ounce of the power that I gave to those who you stole. You will be little more than a ghoul, and you will be a ghoul who rises just outside the door to the humans' church. Drink, and then gear up and leave. Be back in 12 days for your next treatment.
Yeah, he drinks down all three without hesitation and gets ready to go.
And then, like, he'll watch you, like, drink them, and you feel like the damage from the punch is still done, but you feel like the life force kind of returning. And he, once you look healed again, he'll say, you'll heal up your wounds before you leave. And then he kind of like does himself up again, and you see him roll his shoulders, and he kind of adjusts his little hat and fixes his coat and says, I'll be seeing you, Sharut. It's been a pleasure.
Sharut doesn't respond.
And he will vanish about 10 to 15 minutes before the sun comes up out of Sharut's tent.
He curses under his breath in an old Dakani.
All right. And so everybody else, you wake up. It's a new day.
Boy.
Oh boy, I sure hope none of us had any weird encounters in the middle of the night involving tomatoes and or vampires. Time to go to the Orgev's house.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel great.
I feel pretty good too.
I don't know why.
I don't know why,
it feels
but
like
I
it's
feel
going to be
today's
a great day.
Come on, Sharut, join us in song. You're normally so revelous. There's a cookie in it for you.
Sharut does like a cookie. Be a great day. Yes.
Dandrin goes around and rounds everyone up on the wagon.
Yeah. round everybody up on the wagon and then sort of head back over to Orgev's house, I'm assuming. So, yeah. Let's see. I have Andy, Eric, Noah, and Travis in there. Oh, yeah, that's why. Justin's not here. I was like, that seems low, and I'm just catching up to the announcement I had earlier tonight. So yeah, everybody makes it in, and you are all able to have a nice sort of morning meeting in the meeting room, and Orgev is there, Cogsworth is there, Lanimer is there, and you also have a number of the Royal Guard both in the room and outside. And Cogsworth looks like Cogsworth, but Orgev looks tired. Lanimer is holding himself together a little bit more, but like, yeah, it looks like last night was not super great to Orgev. And when you enter, he's not looking very princely. He's kind of got his hand on his table, and he's got his head in his hand, and he's just sort of like massaging from his eyebrows to his temples and back to his eyebrows and to his temples. And he goes, "First of all, I want to thank you and congratulate you. Congratulations for a mission well done, and then thank you for completing it despite the obvious risks. 2 vampires is a lot to deal with for anyone. I've seen whole units fall to 1 vampire and a handful of zombies. 3 vampires, one of whom is a skilled alchemist, and one of whom is, well, daring Nemeth. Forgive me, I did not know the sheer scale of what you were up against when I made my requests of you to Leon and Quintus and Lumio. If I understood the situation a bit better, I likely would have bid us wait for some, perhaps, assistance from one of the churches. But still, you all performed admirably. I do want you to know that at sunrise, as Para was climbing into the bedding that we had prepared for her, we staked her. However, we will not be completing the ritual. We will leave her staked for the moment in the hopes that we can rescue her at some point. The compulsions that she was under were explained to me, and like basically like everybody give me a sense motive in the room.
Classic Lumio.
Lumio's like this amazing diplomat who is real bad at telling how other people react to what he says.
Yep.
All right. Delian and Dandarin and Sharut. The 3 of you are picking up that like Orgev really looks at this as an opportunity. Like he's not eager, but he's also not shying away from the potential of this. You are picking up from Lanimer that Lanimer does not look at this like an opportunity. Lanimer looks at this as like extremely distasteful. So like there's clearly some disagreements there. But yeah, and Orgev will say to you, well, in the meantime, I will ask that Lumio and Quintus and Delian, the 3 of you are native sons of Seer, and you were already going to be going to Kinrod. The talks that needed to happen there still need to happen, and I will be looking to the 3 of you to complete the negotiations. From what I've heard, all 3 of you are somewhat skilled in the art of negotiation, or in other ways of getting information from people. And he says that kind of like, not necessarily directly looking at you, Delian, but his eyes do kind of like glance over you as he moves his head to the other side of the room.
And because he's already, like, as he's saying that, and he starts looking over, Delian just kind of starts looking the other way.
Yeah.
Wow, the architecture of this place.
And never the eyes shall meet.
Yeah.
And he says, Sharut and Master Sornath, I understand that this is a Siren matter, and that now that I have involved the Company of the Golden Skull in a more direct, non-bodyguarding capacity, this might change some things for you, but I would still request that the 2 of you accompany the trio and do what you can to back them up should the need arise. This should not be a military operation, but still, as you have seen with what has happened to apparently the changeling who was attacking and then posing as Miss Belkin, there is some danger here, and your help would be appreciated.
They're going to use my wagon to get there, so...
Well, it's good of you to allow such a thing, but I did want to formally request that you still continue even though the mission had changed. There is something to be said for giving those in your employ enough respect to actually update them when new things come to light. If I expect you to operate at the capacity where you know things and are able to make decisions, then I have to operate at such a capacity where I trust you with information. So things have changed. That's the new information. As for who attacked Miss Belkin, we still know nothing. Quintus and I were able to go over the feathers in a bit more detail from the bolts, and as he said, it was a southern tin row, but that's about all we were able to identify. No real marks, though, as he said, there are many who would rather that the rail line go the other way. What Quintus, looking over the papers a bit more carefully, what Quintus was able to argue for was an expansion to the rail line to be prioritized. And he'll like stop protestations from Quintus, and he goes, that may not be what you argued for, but that is what was agreed to. Even if it was agreed to after the fact, that is what they sent to me. They agreed to an expansion to the rail. That expansion is not necessarily earmarked to come through New Seer. It must come through New Seer. Do what you can to convince those in Kinra that if they are the deciding vote, it must come to New Seer. You have some days to get there. I don't know how long it will take for you in Kinran. It may take a few days to sort of get this set up. It may take a few weeks, but do what you can as fast as you can, and then get back. In the meantime, I will be contacting Thaliost and attempting to get them to send a few of their finer inquisitors. We had one a while back, but maybe we can request that the Dour Hand comes back through in an attempt to get rid of whoever is going through my city and making my citizens into undead monstrosities.
Does Sharut know how far away Kinran is, like day's journey?
So if you move quickly, you can probably get there in 3 to 4. And that's like, and moving quickly in the wagon is different from moving quickly just on horseback. If you move quickly on horseback, you could probably make it in about 2. Dillian made it in 2. When he like grabbed the magebred horse and was just like, go as fast as I can, he was able to make it in 2. By the wagon, it doubles because the horses don't move at a full sprint.
Okay.
And so he says, however, to ensure that this does go as well as could be, I have spoken with Leo Vidalis, as we have become somewhat close, and Dandrin, and Mr. Sornath, if you will allow, I would like to trade you some of his horses for some of yours, and then he will see what he can do about getting your horses a fine new home.
Can take a look at them. I will not offhand agree, but I will agree to see what is fully on offer. And that's very much the way Dandarin changes his shift. Is it goes from like, I'm a noble servant to I am a Mercane prince.
Oh yeah, and you like you'll see Lanimer kind of like grab his forehead like, oh my god, the balls of this dude, and like Orgev will smirk a bit, and he goes, ever the Moorish dwarves do have their peculiarities. Even a gift offered by a prince needs to be appraised. I understand, and I agree.
They were chosen by his brother, so I've heard.
My brother.
Dandarin is gonna...
The delay it took for everyone to go, that was a my brother joke.
Yeah, it's like wait,
there's
what?
A brief moment. There's a brief moment before Dandarin ever so slightly turns his head to Delian.
It just clears.
And there's just a moment.
That's how you get the edge on him. That's how you get the edge on him.
You just mentioned his brother?
Yeah, you just mentioned his brother. It's like, I heard the crafting or the testing that your brother did was phenomenal. Hopefully, it's been put up to the same stress.
Take a -1 to your AC from the 5 teardrops that are present this round. Yeah, and he says, and he kind of pauses and he goes, Cogsworth, is there anything that I'm forgetting? And Cogsworth says, I don't believe so, sir. And then Latimer says, technically the marks, if you wish to mark the foreigners, but if you don't, that would, well, I think we'd all understand that, really. And Orgev goes, yes, the marks. And he looks to like you, like Lumio and Delian, and Quintus, and he goes, "No, while I would like your group to officially recognize me as patron, I know that there is more work that goes into that. Likely some papers to be drawn up. I'm sure something that will be drawn up by, well, Mr. Sornath or his sister, far more like his sister. But at the moment,
would be quite a condition.
as far as the a mark to indicate that you are directly working on my behalf, forgive me if I say that I feel most comfortable with that particular bit of ink existing only for the native sons. Those of the jewel must stick together, as it were."
Yeah.
Well, and he'll nod to one of the guards, and he'll say, "Eckett, if you could please escort Mr. Sornath and his friends over to see Leo de Vidalis, see if the horses are up to his incredibly high standards." And the tall royal guard, like in that kind of like ominous masked helmet, will say, like, you'll just hear this, like, "As you wish, your majesty." And then we'll walk to the door and open it for all of you, and you can leave the room.
Before we do,
Yeah.
Dillian's like, and I know it's taken me some time, but I've decided where I would like my house to be.
Of course, if you would like, you can dip off into the study with Lanimer and explain it to him.
Fantastic. Yes, I would like to do that. I figured since I'll be away, it'll be nice to come back to something.
Well, we don't know how long you'll be away for. You might come back to us having only begun digging the foundation, but
Again, still something.
a hole in the ground
Sleep in
is
the
better.
hole, it's fine.
And he goes, "I suppose a hole in the ground is better than no hole at all." Yes, Lanimer, if you'll escort Mr. Devant. And so I will real quick go back to Nusir, and let me move everybody's dudes up into this field. Delian.
Yes.
So
How do
you
I get rid of this stupid utilities bar?
click off your dude. Click the map.
No, it's like the quick bar to do attack and stuff. I found a way to move it. So it's better.
Gotcha. So where on the map would you like your house?
I
built?
would love mine to be in the middle of these copse of trees.
Okay. Is it
Preferably, like right in there.
is it important to you that the copse of trees is considered to be like part of your place, or do you want the trees felled for the house?
No, I do not want them felled.
Okay, so hold on. Let me mark this real quick, and I will include this in the next map. There you go.
Cool.
That'll be House Devandi. And you do that, and Lanimer says, "Oh yes, that's a fair spot. There's been a few tents that move in and out of there, but no one ever seems to keep it for very long. I believe there's a few hives in the trees, and
Wonderful.
then we'll keep them for you, and you can start an apiary of sorts if you prefer."
Yeah, well, it'll kind of keep unwanted tenants out.
Yes.
Minus them, I guess.
Yes, of course. Well then, thank you. For the rest of you, you move to the House Fidelis house and stables, which are on the same land as the manor. It's just right behind it. With one of them, this one being the stables, and the other one, this one being the house. And so Knight Eckett will escort you out to the stables, and you will see Leo de Vidalis in there. This big, brawny, sort of like mustachioed, long-haired beefcake of a man. Dude basically looks like if Conan and Kraven the Hunter from Spider-Man had a baby, and that baby punched an ox on its way out.
Lovely.
He's just all burly and chest hair and big mustache, and he's just like, you must be those that I was speaking with Orgev about.
Yes, I understand you have some offer of some kind, yes?
Well, the prince intoned to me that you needed to get somewhere quite fast, and, well, I know that there's something of a premium going on my horse flesh nowadays, but you always treat royal orders, or royal requests, really, with a bit more gravitas than you treat others with. And the fact that he's a friend and considers you to be the same doesn't hurt. So I can give you your choice here. One would be a more permanent trade, and the other would be something of a temporariness. So as far as the permanent trade, he's explained to me that you have a good pair of strong working draft horses, and well, I can always use a good strong working draft horse. And if I train him up right and proper and put my brand on him, if need be, I can always sell him later at a bit of a profit. Nothing gained, nothing lost. Well, something gained, but nothing lost for you. In exchange, I'm willing to take a couple of my mage breads that have been mage bred for speed, and fair exchange 1-to-1. Less about any dealings that we've had, though if you and your family would like to sign some sort of agreement, I'm all for that in the future. More about...
Well, which one would be the one to talk about such a contract? And it'd be more for, like, the barding and horseshoes and such things.
I've heard a bit about how people that do deals with the fine Miss Sornath sort of end up after those deals, and so if you would like to work together at some point, I would be more than happy to.
I just want you to know that I understand what you're putting. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
and he goes, yeah, and we just trade out your. Go ahead, and we just trade out your draft horses for my mage breads. As I said, they're built for speed, so they're not built for quite the toughness of a draft horse. Though I mean, they're still tough. They're mage bred and all, but
I understand.
They're built to do a fast thing fast. Your friend here has actually already claimed one of them.
Yeah, I named him Smeech.
Smeech sounds like a hell of a rough name to say at a high pitch if you need the horse to come to you, but to each their own, and maybe gnomish vocal cords work a little bit different.
Yeah, a bit.
Ah, well, I look forward to seeing Smeech. If he gets to be a handle for you, he should be well trained and all. I did it myself, but if you're willing, Mr. Sornath, I'd be more than happy. We could just, knock this out right now. I walk him out to your wagon, walk the other ones back in, tell you names.
You mind if I go with you and just peruse a bit?
Well, I did want to put the other offer on the table there. This one was, His Majesty did mention that, speed was something that you were thinking of, and that having lost a day at all, he was worried that you might be a little bit late to negotiations. I do have Gracchus, Gracie, and the young ones, which I ain't named yet, but I'd be willing to fly the lot of you over to Kin. However, if I do fly the lot of you over, number one, it would still take about a day or so. They fly, and they fly fast, but they don't fly all that fast. But number two would be you can't really take your wagons or your horses with that on account of them being giant eagles and not rocks.
Of course. No, I believe the more permanent trade would be the overall better, both of us, since you'll also be getting yourself a pair of potentially future marked horses and whatnot.
Well,
I will be going with the first option.
More than fair. Basis. More than fair, and I would understand where you would be a bit reluctant to be going without your little home away from home. I've seen what you've done with the wagon. It's quite brilliant of you, really.
It's still in the first phases, but yes, one day it's going to be quite the sight.
Well, if that's the case, he has a why don't you come with me and check out the horses, and we'll get you all ready to go. And he leads you into the stable, and any of you who would like are welcome to come and check it out.
Absolutely.
So Leon has a bit of a special, and his specialty isn't really with horses. Horses are something that House Vidalis people kind of learn to do because everybody wants a mage-bred horse. His specialty is with hunting animals, and the three that he has sort of keyed in on are giant eagles, giant warhounds, and dire skunks.
I like that.
So there is kind of a pungent odor in here. It doesn't stink as bad as skunk spray, but it stinks as if it has been skunk sprayed a couple times. You walk in and, it's this 2-story building, and he goes, well, if we're not looking at the eagles, there's no reason to go up to the second floor, but come on, I'll show you to the horses. Thankfully, we keep them at the back where we have them open to the field. We can't really keep the dogs out there because they're still in training, and we can't really keep the skunks out there either because the skunks like to dig. So at the moment, the skunks they're in some nice metal cages while they're sleeping off a rough bit of training the previous day. And he's kind of walking you through, and you see these, they're just big mastiffs. That's basically what they are. It's just a lot of jowls and, just big hunting dogs like you would take hunting. And then you walk by even bigger skunks. The skunks, about half again the size of the dogs. And they're just these huge skunks that kind of have some spikes coming from places in their shoulder. And where skunks...
Mage-bred dire skunks.
Yeah, where skunks have those two white lines that kind of go down their body. These kind of had like, their white lines look particularly like prickly. Not quite quills, but they're sort of standing up like a pair of mohawks. And the odor here is just real pungent. It's not enough to like really like kick you in the stomach or anything, but it's real pungent. And then he leads you past those to where the horses actually have like the run of like this field right here. And he will walk out and he goes, Batrix, Gwyn, come on. And you see like all of these horses are like running around, and two of them just stop exactly what they're doing, are precisely what they're doing, and they just walk over, very well trained, and just stand directly in front of him. And he goes, well, this one's Batrix. Batrix is actually the older sister to this one right here. This one's Gwen, and the two of them are, well, they're the fastest what I got. Like I said, I got tougher, I got stronger, but His Majesty did intone that speed was key, so if you want these, I understand. And if you don't, that's fine. You can take your draft horses, and, well, I...
No, and Dandrin will, of course, like, it's not even, like, a thing. He's just automatically...
And he roll... these are mage-bred, heavy horses built for speed. They are not war horses. They're just heavy horses built for speed. So they are going to be about 10 to 15 feet per movement action faster than your horses. Over the course of like the entire trip, this is about enough to shave an entire day off the ride to Kinner.
And Dandrin will, I'm assuming with that roll, I find no flaws, nothing like that. Like, nothing they're trying to hide. It's just these are...
Creating... So, like, you know how I said, like, when Dandrin started as a blacksmith, he probably started with, like, nails. Like, you learn to make the simple things first. This horse is the House of Adalis equivalent of a nail. Like, they all make these because this is what they do, you know? So no, you find no real flaws with them. They both just look like big, strong coursers who tend to move a little bit faster. You could tell that they're like, it's not even just move faster, they tend to just be faster. Like they're doing the sort of standard horse things where they like kind of move side to side every now and then, but it looks like they're just doing it at like a slightly faster pace. You're watching this video at 1.5
Someone
times
put
speed.
them at 1.5, yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, so, yeah, what do you think?
I think they're a fine pair of made-bred horses, and I am more than happy to accept.
Well,
I'll go get the other two and pass them into your care.
Good. I'm glad you're happy with it, because I gotta admit, I know your family for being a real stickler with the appraising skills, and so if you were like, oh, they're just not good enough for me, I would have felt my heart break and sicked a skunk on you.
Oh, it's all right. I understand.
Well then we should probably get them all ready. And he starts like doing this thing where he's grabbing like, you know, the bits and the bridles and the sort of things that you would use to like attach them to stuff. And he's just sort of holding them out, and whenever he holds out anything that's soft, like if it's a piece of metal, no, but it like the leather or ropes or whatever, the horses are just kind of grabbing it in their teeth until like he has them sort of loaded up. And then he goes, all right, girls, after me, come on now. And they just walk behind him as he walks behind you back to the wagon.
Yeah, we'll make the exchange. Dandrin will ask for like the quick, like the mage-bred horses typically more capable of receiving and following instructions.
Yeah, and he can tell you essentially like the tricks that these know. And he lets you know that these, and he goes, now I want to make it clear that these are not war horses in terms of toughness, but they are trained for combat in the fact that I don't want them being skittish and running from things. You need to make sure that you're doing what you can to keep them alive. They're not trained in armor. They're not trained to really go out and fight and bite. And if anything untoward, like undeads or abominations or some demon from Infernia appears in front of you, I would recommend that you crack the whip.
Turn the other way and
you run.
Go, yes.
But they are not skittish. I could make an explosion happen next to us and the horse would look at it like it just shit on its head. So, you know, they know the sort of standard commands. They can work. You can get them to be calm. You can get them to fetch things for you if you can point it out. You have to sort of teach them what it is. Like they know rope and they know harness and you know they know bag. Though you have to indicate the bag. You just point to it and you say fetch bag and they'll bring the bag to you. But yeah, you just treat them like you would treat a really finely trained dog, more or less. And then if you have any problems with them, well, number one, I'm going to be honest. If you have any problems with them, that's probably your fault. But still, if you have any problems with them, come on back, and I'll see what I can do to assuage any worries or any fears.
All right. Good plan.
All right. And good. And these two, do they have names?
Aye, they do. Hold on, I actually have these written down. Okay, I see what I was doing here. Eagle and Feagle.
Eagle and Feagle.
Kegel and Feagle.
Kegel and
Killy and
Feagle.
Philly were two on the moor.
So this is Batrix and
God damn it.
it's Batrix and Gwyn. So there's the spellings for Batrix and Gwyn if you would like, and he will sort of like help you to get them all set up, and you can give them so they're a little bigger than your horses, so he's prepared to like swap out some of the leathers and stuff. Just because they're just built like brawnier. And then he tells you, like, you got to make sure it's tight, because if you give them any leeway and then you do crack the whip, they might pull so hard that they actually break their bonds. So just make sure that if they're working, things are tight. And if they're not working, when you take everything off, they think that they're allowed to go. So if you want to make sure that they're still listening to you, what you have to do is just keep something on them. And then you see him kind of like lift a hand and sort of like brush at like Kegel's ear, and then he does the same thing at Feagle's ear, and he goes, "Well, Mr. Sornath, it's been more than a pleasure following you, and I just hope that whatever my good friend His Majesty needs done, you're able to. And if you need anything in the future, please just come on back."
Of course.
And
of course, same to you. Should you need any of your pieces worked on, accoutrement to adorn your fine creatures here, just let me know.
Oh, your sister's been making shoes for us now for a few months, and her work's a fair good, and we appreciate
Aye,
it.
she's a fine and Dangerous thinking for a moment because he knows that to humans he's a fine smith, but in his mind he's like she does, yes, fine work, yes.
He goes, "That she does, yes." And he'll start kind of like walking away, and then he sort of stops and he looks at Lumio with like his sort of like big billowy cape and his kind of like flat hat, and then he has his 3-pronged Brandistock staff, and he goes, "Are you one of them Siren war wizards? The ones what sort of bit off the Ondarian style and was riding around anything they could tame what flow, Dragonhawks and the like?"
It was a time ago. I wasn't as gifted in the art, and so I never applied it to it. But it was always my intention, as it is fitting. Had things turned out significantly differently.
Well, and he kind of like moves over to you, and he kind of like leans in to whisper a little conspiratorially, and he goes, "I've got a handle on someone who might be able to provide me with a couple of and he kind of looks around like someone might be listening and care about this, and he goes,
Delian definitely
and he goes,
leans in.
"Giant owl eggs. So if you would, now, what I have at the moment, as far as fly and beasts of burden, are mostly trained to be beasts of burden what fly, but I could see as far as maybe if you was to spend a month or so every now and then, maybe a week at a time, like over the next couple of years, sort of helping me teach them how to carry a rider what can cast a spell or two into combat. See about giving you a substantial discount on such a thing, if you would be amenable to such a thing."
Yes, that sounds remarkably good. Consider this a temporary agreement. We'll have to speak more when I am returned.
Sure, you and I and any adjudicant of your choosing who we do not already have some sort of deal with. And he kind of like looks to Dandarin, and then from Dandarin kind of like makes his eyes so that they're sort of pointing at where the Sornath smithy is. And then he clicks his tongue a little bit, and he goes, "Kegel, Fagel, follow me." And Dandarin, the 2 horses do a thing they have never done for you, where they just follow him. They just like walk behind him.
Dandarin, unsurprised. That man is to animals what I am to a forge.
In that he can take one and make it into a new animal.
Correct.
You should see what happens when you give him a seal and a hammer. I've seen him make lions. That sounds nightmarish.
It's really fascinating, actually. It's just, it's mesmerizing. You can't look away.
So you're able to get Batrix and Gwyn on the wagon, and then you guys can all sort of head out and get on the road to Kinron. You'll be in Kinron within
on the way
3
out.
days.
Like Dandrid's going to take kind of a long way because he's going to pop into the forge and be like, "Uchwin, I got some mage-bred horses for the wagon."
And she'll just kind of like walk next to the wagon a little bit and going, "You can't be serious. You can't be serious that you're leaving again. You're leaving again.
I know.
I've got
I
orders
understand.
back." And then she kind of like stops and looks at the horses as they keep walking, and she goes, "Are those my shoes? They're wearing my shoes."
You are?
And she just kind of like,
complimented your work, dear sister.
"Of course he did.
Work.
Of course he did. I've been providing those men with fine horseshoes now for a few months. It's about time they complimented my work."
Indeed you have. Also, dear sister, give me a list of things, and he's going to like show the back of the forge where he's got the mini forge in.
Yeah.
I can work on the road. Give me a list of the longer form orders that afford to take more time. Work on them as we go.
Well, the main longer form order damn it, wrong accent. Well, the main longer form order that I'm going to need is for you to get working on one of those dedicated rites to fill in for you when you're not here.
He makes a boy.
And now I have crafted boy out of smaller boy.
I took him to the animal maker.
I hit this child with a hammer and made a different child.
I
He's
have
got
done
sort of a
human child.
purplish
He's
mark
morbid
on
now.
his face.
God, this is so horrifying.
Just go
Yeah,
in and
if you
slap.
take that
Eric,
stupid
I'd
class
like to make
skill
a legacy item. It's a polymorphs on hits, so I just take a hammer, hit a human child. He's a dwarf child now. He's mine.
I will not let you make the Wabbajack in my game. I draw the line at Wabbajack. Actually, no, wait. I don't draw the line at Wabbajack, but Travis has to have it. I think that he would love it.
Yes, I was gonna be absolutely irate if you allowed it, and I was not allowed to have it.
Only tasteful Wabbajack here.
You are correct.
Yeah.
Dander would never make that for himself. But
Wabbajack,
make it
Wabbajack,
for
Wabbajack.
Dorian.
There you go. All right. So at that, everybody will get on the road and they will start heading to the city of Kinron. You'll be there in about 3 days, and depending on how long it takes to get things done there, you should be back soon, Sharut hopes.
Very much so.
All right. And at that...
Sharut, I'm afraid this is going to take weeks, lad.
And Sharut goes... just stares at his hands and starts crying and goes, "Sharut, understand."
Can Sarut have cookie? Last cookie?
I'm afraid we've just got biscuits.
You fed cookie to horse. I saw.
All right.
Sharut, these are mage-bred horses.
I think he's trying to end the stream, guys.
Yes, I'm trying to end the stream. So, thanks everybody for watching, and we will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.